Hello, and welcome to the next Quarantine Theater Company reading. Tonight, we're reading one of my absolute favorite all-time movies, Overboard. It's going to be so much fun. So much fun! All right. As doing the heavy lifting, as scene description, and she's going to also be a couple characters for us tonight. We've got Angie, as you're everyone's favorite handyman, Dean Prophet. We've got George. All right, I will be doing Joanna tonight. I don't know why I'm going so slow. I've had a very off day. As Grant Staten III, we've got Travis joining us. He's also going to be other characters. Join us as Andrew. We've got Logan. Sorry, I had to do that. He's also going to be our Billy Pratt. I just wanted to yell Andrew a bunch of times. We've got Jen joining us tonight. She is going to be everyone's favorite mother-in-law, Edith. The best. And that's our tiny cast for tonight. So, without further ado, let's get this ball rolling.
Overboard by Leslie Dixon. Exterior in Oregon Harbor, established day. Various shots, local fishermen baiting their lines, sitting in the sun, kidding each other. We finally focus on two locals, bearded lumberjack types carrying fishing nets, walking down the pier. They stop and whistle in awe on the sight of a huge yacht. The SS Immaculata, glaringly out of place, docked among the tiny fishing boats.
Ooh, sorry, my beard disappeared. Whoa! Whose little baby is that?
Nobody we're ever gonna know.
It could be tourists.
What kind of dipshit tourists stop here?
Exterior yacht cabin window. We see the faces of Joanna Staten and her husband Grant, peering disdainfully through the glass at the town. Interior yacht cabin. It's sumptuously furnished with the kind of taste and elegance only New Yorkers enjoy. Grant Staten, nautically attired, is a good-looking man, but somewhat anemic. The virility has been bred out of him from generations of wealth. His wife, Joanna, a stunning blonde with severely lacquered hair, turns away from the window in a cold fury.
Where are we?
I think Elk Cove, Oregon.
The teeming metropolis of Elk Cove. I do not believe that this is happening.
It's not going to happen. Andrew! Tell them to try again.
From the bowels of the boat comes the asthmatic wheeze of an engine trying to turn over.
I don't suppose it occurred to you to have the boat examined before we left?
Why should it? This yacht has never once broke down. Not once in 20 years.
Or been serviced, apparently. Ugh, I can't believe I was lunatic enough to go out in the open sea for one of your heirlooms.
This is the Staten yacht. Kings and presidents have been entertained on this yacht. The least you could do is appreciate it.
I'd appreciate it a lot more if it had closet space. Andrew! Andrew, start it again!
The engine gives a sickly gurgle and dies.
Oh, for God's sake.
She sweeps out of the cabin. Grant sighs and follows. Exterior below deck engine room. Joanna looks down at two crew members, up to their elbows in greasy engine. Overseeing this operation is Andrew, the Staten's distinguished 50-ish manservant.
Andrew, and how much longer is this going to take?
Depending on the availability of parts, 2 days.
Excuse me?
The crew members stammer simultaneous explanations. Joanna turns to Andrew, speaking as though they weren't there.
Obviously, the innards of this boat are a complete mystery to them. That's reassuring.
She sweeps out of the room, ignoring further explanations. Exterior, the deck. As Grant emerges from their cabin, Joanna strides past him to retract to the retracted gangplank and issues an order to another passing crew member.
Put this down.
What are you doing?
I am not remaining on this boat for 2 days. I am going for a walk on dry land.
Are you insane?
Why would that be insane?
Joanna, this is obviously a town of impoverished rednecks, and they're bitter and resentful of people like us.
The point being,
They might hurt us.
ugh, they might disgust us. I sincerely doubt they'll hurt us.
You have no idea, Joanna, what kind of squalid, immoral lives these people lead, and it's time you start to think about it. They may well take over in our lifetime.
Amoral lives. Oh, please.
Well, why not? They breed like rabbits. There are more and more of them all the time, and less of us because some of us refuse to reproduce.
I don't breed. Dogs breed. And if you're so concerned about my safety, why don't you just come with me?
I'm barely safe aboard this boat. These people would like nothing better than to kidnap a Stanton. We are not ending up prisoners with parts of our bodies sent to our families until they pay some obscene ransom.
Ugh, Grant, don't be an imbecile.
They could storm the boat at any moment, taking the silver, grubby hands pawing through your jewelry. Your jewelry.
Grant, stop it.
He manages, but with an effort, to regulate his breathing.
Before this escalates to epilepsy, let me assure you, I will not, repeat, not set foot off this boat. I will not I will not, wait, that doesn't make sense. I will rot here for 2 days, all right? But I'm going to require some sort of project.
Project?
A productive activity for me to do.
Exterior and Oregon Highway morning. A battered old crew cab truck with non-existent shock absorbers goes bumping along the road. Interior truck cab moving. Dean Profit, the driver, good-looking rural charmer in his late 30s, is singing rowdily along with a C&W tune on the radio. One of those real weepers dripping with self-pity. Between his knees is a 7-Eleven styrofoam cup of coffee. He munches a Hostess powdered sugar donut breakfast. On the seat beside him, on the floor, and all over the dash is copious evidence that Dean is a father. A beach ball, toy trucks, kids' books, a large artificial tarantula, a stuffed Gumby, etc. Dean pulls up to the pier and gets out of the truck, wiping the powdered sugar crumbs from his mouth, and blinks in awe at the yacht. Looks at the slip of paper in his hand. Yup, this is the place. The yacht. Dean, carrying his toolkit, approaches tentatively.
Hello?
Grant's face, twisted with paranoid terror, pops up like a jack-in-a-box from behind the railing on the boat. He brandishes a sterling silver candelabra like a weapon.
Get back! Get back! I'll have to hurt you!
Dean is taken aback, but hardly frightened.
Somebody call for a carpenter?
Grant slowly puts the candelabra down. The deck of the yacht. Joanna and Grant stride across the deck, Grant at Joanna's elbow, nervously peering back as Dean follows them.
I heard you got an emergency.
Does he have references?
Local references? No, I just moved up to this area, but hey, I've been doing this kind of work for years.
I'm very uncomfortable with this, Joanna.
It's my project and therefore no concern to you.
We don't know this person. He could be a serial killer.
It's entirely possible.
Hey, you got an emergency see we can do a blood test and a bunch of fingerprints right now, or I can just get started, huh?
He smiles winningly at Joanna, but his charm, which is decidedly rural, escapes her. She looks at him coldly.
Now, what seems to be the problem?
Interior cabin of yacht, day. Joanna holds open the door to an expansive closet.
Well, you can see how inadequate it all is. You would think they could build some shoe racks. All we need is this row extended. I'd actually like this compartmentalized so I can separate the linens and the wools and the silks and the crepes.
Oh, wait. You want me to remodel a closet?
Isn't that what I've been explaining in some detail?
Andrew appears bringing a tray with some Perrier water, crackers, and caviar. Without even acknowledging his presence, she spreads on a cracker and takes a bite.
Excuse me, what is this?
Caviar, Mrs. Satan.
Must I specify when I ask you to pick pack caviar that it be good caviar and not fish bait? Or is that too great of a leap? You have 48 hours. I suggest you get started.
With that, she sweeps from the room, or almost sweeps from the room. The width of her shoulder pads blocks her from getting through the door. Attempting to retain her dignity, she turns sideways and exits. Dean turns to Andrew sympathetically.
You always get that shit?
Oh, this is a good day.
Close up on the closet, a day later, 3/4 remodeled. Dean, shirtless, is working away quickly and efficiently. The closet looks greatly improved, and it's clear he knows what he's doing. His concentration is somewhat marred, however, by the imperious tones of Joanna wafting through the open window from the deck outside.
Sorry, my phone got tangled. Hello, Dudley. This is Mrs. Staten. I'm up in Elk Snout, or something, but I have been languishing on hold. Are they starting the auction? Oh, thank God. Well, I want to put in a bid on the big piece, the dancing woman. What are we starting at? $750?
Exterior the deck. Joanna, in a revealing bathing suit, sits on a deckside chair at an outdoor table, playing backgammon with Grant while conducting a phone call.
All right. I'll bid 1, 1, 2, 1, 5, 1, 7. Oh, good. All right. That's 1,700,000.
From inside the yacht cabin, there is a clunk of heavy tools being dropped. Interior yacht cabin. Dean, his tools on the floor, stands open-mouthed at the prospect of that sum of money being bandied about.
Jesus.
Oh, good. My card number is 012-359-9131. Oh, no, it's platinum, darling. Of course, there's no limit. This is Mrs. Grant Staten. Oh, I should hope so.
There is a click of the receiver being replaced and the sound of approaching footsteps. Dean quickly returns to work as Joanna comes striding in. Now that we have a better look at her, we see what a flimsy piece of work this bathing suit is. The legs are French cut so high we can see a strawberry-shaped birthmark on her haunch. She puts her hands on her hips. She's beautiful, imperious, and completely unaware that between Dean's shirtlessness and her revealing dress, there are two attractive, only partially clothed adults alone in a very small room.
Well, the boat appears to be functioning, so I'd appreciate it if you'd stop eavesdropping and finish your... What is this?
That's called wood. It's oak.
Oak. An oak closet. Why am I even amazed?
I don't know. Why are you amazed?
One would have hoped you know that closets are cedar, otherwise we get moths.
Lady, there's not a real big moth problem off the Pacific coast.
This discussion is pointless. You'll have to rip it all out.
Okay. You want cedar? Fine, but that'll add 300 to my estimate.
I beg your pardon.
Look, I already bought the oak.
Well, I'm certainly not paying for that.
Well, I'm not eating it when you didn't ask for cedar.
The civilized world knows about cedar closets.
Well, ma'am, up here in Elks now, we don't know about closets nor bathrooms neither. You're lucky I'm housebroke.
You were listening to us.
It was kind of hard to avoid.
Well, you'll avoid it very easily in the future because you're fired.
She strides out. He follows, angry. Exterior deck of yacht.
Yeah, fine with me, except you owe me $600.
The job wasn't done to my satisfaction.
Well, I got news for you. No job will ever be done to your satisfaction.
That is quite enough. Get it out!
Look, I worked for that $600 and I want it.
Grant, where are you?
Oh, you know what your problem is? You're so goddamn bored. You don't have a goddamn thing on this earth to do except your hair. You got to invent things to bitch about. Your closet was fine. You just wanted something to take up your fucking useless, empty, nail-doing, sun-tanning, rich bitch days.
During this speech,
Grant?
he advances on her in anger, not particularly meaning anything by it, but Joanna is sure she's going to be raped.
Grant, don't you dare touch me.
Touch you, not a chance. Even though what you need is a sock in the mouth and a 6-foot dick.
Joanna gasps in absolute horror and, in a quick, instinctive reaction, pushes at Dean's chest with all her might. He staggers backwards onto the gangplank. She pushes again, and he falls off the boat, hitting the water with a splash. She quickly unties the boat from the pier.
Andrew, start the engines.
A few seconds pass. The boat starts. The water. Dean flails, sputtering.
Hey, my tools.
In answer, his tools come hurtling down in the water beside him. The yacht takes off. Exterior deck of the moving yacht. Joanna throws the last hammer over the side, eyes full of tears. Though she'd rather die than to admit it to herself, Dean's words hit a nerve. Joanna now does what she always does in times of crisis. She grabs the phone and dials a familiar number.
Hello, Mother.
Interior, a ritzy New York breakfast room day. Edith Morgan, Joanna's handsome and excessively wealthy mother, is lunching on a diet wafer and black coffee. Though it's taking 3 servants and half the sterling in New York to serve her these items, it's clear that Joanna learned her imperious manner at her mother's knee.
What? Oh, are you serious? Oh, darling, I'm simply, really at a loss to understand this. What on earth do you care about, some carpenter from El Couzys thinks of you?
Back to Joanna.
You're right. He's beneath my contempt. I'm sure this will solve PMS.
Back to Edith.
Well, what are you doing on your feet? Go to bed! You can't possibly be expected to deal with cretins when you are having your period, or anything else. 2 days in bed. Are you listening to me?
Back to Joanna.
As usual, Mother, you're absolutely right.
Back to Edith.
Oh, let's just hope you succeeded in drowning him. Ha ha!
Exterior, a battered trailer day. A signpost reads, Billy Pratt, general contractor, and the front yard is filled with the lumber and tools to prove it. Dean's station wagon pulls up and Dean gets out, hair plastered to his head, and storms up to the trailer, dripping water up its front steps. Interior trailer. This is Billy Pratt's combined office and living quarters. Billy, Dean's old friend, is a big, overweight, genial guy. Not a world beater for brains, but with a good heart. He sits hunched over a none too clean desk, drawing up some plans, as Dean angrily bangs the door closed.
How'd it go?
Dean hurdles a piece of seaweed onto Billy's desk. Exterior trailer. Dean stomps out, followed by Billy.
You mad at me for?
You gotta move up here. I'll get your work. Yeah, great work. I'm out $600. Half my tools. Now I get to drip dry. Thank you.
I didn't know her. Butler just called up. Look, I'm sorry. I'll get you another job.
No more jobs.
It's a big contract. Build a miniature golf course. Biggest one in 4 counties.
Yeah? I love miniature golf.
Yeah. This is a monster contract. I think we could get it.
He puts his arm around Dean and leads him back to the trailer. Interior trailer. Billy shows Dean the plans he's working on.
Working on a bid. I had the greatest theme for it. The 7 Wonders of the World.
Yeah. But there's 18 holes, right?
Yeah.
Well, don't we need some more wonders?
Yeah. I will need 11 wonders.
Both men think for a moment.
The Dolly Parton. She's a wonder.
Good one. Hey, write that one down. We better do this later.
Why? We're on a roll.
Because Mrs. Burbage is here.
Dean looks nervously out the window. Dean's point of view, Billy's front yard. Mrs. Burbage, a steely-eyed, middle-aged woman, gets out of her car and starts for the trailer. Interior trailer.
Shit. God damn it. I moved up here to get away from social workers. How'd they get on my ass in 2 weeks? Man, I don't believe it. This thing got a back door.
Dean races into the trailer's tiny second room.
Nope.
Interior trailer back room day. Mrs. Burbage stands blocking the doorway, catching Dean as in the process of trying to pry the window open.
Ah, hey, how's it going?
I didn't find you at home, Mr. Prophet. Sit down.
Dean sits uncomfortably on Billy's unmade bed, miserably conscious of still being dripping wet. He discreetly takes a soggy sleeve and wrings it out into the potted plant.
I did, however, find your children at home. We have some serious concerns that they're not being provided with a wholesome environment.
Are you saying I'm a bad father?
Me? Oh, no. I'm not, but my colleagues are alarmed by your house.
All right, look, your colleagues got kids. Kids are messy.
Live mushrooms growing out of the carpet strike us as excessive.
They're not poison.
Mr. Prophet, where is the mother of these children?
Dead for 7 years. Now, what does that have to do with...
7 years is a long time to be without a female influence in the house. It seems to have made them incorrigible.
Nah, you wouldn't think that once you got to know them.
It's hard to get past the first impressions, Mr. Prophet. I saw with mine own eyes, apparently now I'm Winifred, the bigger boys trying to suffocate the littlest.
No, see, it's a game they play with each other. It's called Hide the Brother in the Convertible Sofa.
Mr. Prophet? Oop. Oh, am I a counselor now too? I am. Maybe? No, I'm just kidding. Is that me as well? Were there more people?
Nope, same person.
Hooray! Mr. Prophet! Dean, I'm sorry. You're going to have to provide a more regular income and a less turbulent environment, or we're going to have to recommend that these children be put in a foster home.
You can't, that... I did work. I'm owed $600. The woman wouldn't pay me.
Well, then I suggest you find her.
Interior cabin of Staten Yacht night. We pan from the dresser where we see deposited all of the jewelry Joanna was wearing in the previous scene to the bed where she lies in a Camille-like pose, heating pad on her stomach, a snifter of cognac, and a box of chocolates near her hand. Grant is in the bed next to her, a robe over his pajamas, watching TV.
Must you run that thing?
Yes, I must. It's good for my nerves. It has a tantry escapist quality.
What have to escape from? I cannot possibly imagine.
Grant slowly turns and looks at her. She is, obviously, something he'd like to escape from very much. Oblivious, she sits up bolt upright.
Grant, I left my platinum credit card up on the deck.
Then go and get it.
I'm doubled over with cramps. Do you think I'm lying here for my own amusement?
Grant shoots her another look. That's exactly what he's thinking.
Oh, my rich anger. I'll go in a minute.
In a minute, it could be blown overboard. Do you know the Sedinstia tortures you have to go through to get one of those replaced? Oh, never mind. This is obviously asking too much of your energies.
With a groan of hypochondria, she rises from her sickbed. Exterior the deck by moonlight. Joanna, in a diaphanous white robe and high-heeled slippers, seriously inappropriate deckwear, appears, hair and robe sent immediately askance in the stiff nautical breeze. She teeters across the rocking deck to a telephone table. No card. Impatiently, she looks around, sees her credit card, shining softly in the moonlight, which has evidently been blown over the railing into the unrailed prow of the ship. Joanna peers over the railing, not about to set foot out there herself.
Grant! Andrew!
Interior yacht cabin. Grant, hearing her cries, turns up the volume on the TV. Interior lower cabin. Andrew, enjoying a well-earned glass of wine, turns up the volume on his stereo. Her strident voice is soothingly eclipsed by Mozart. Exterior deck. Still calling their names. Joanna watches angrily as the card slides still further from the railing. Heaving a sigh of monumental annoyance with her help, Joanna unfastens and opens the small gate to the unguarded prow of the ship. Then, with one perfectly manicured hand firmly grasping the rail, she steps out, retrieves her card, steps back through the gate, puts the card on the table, and, putting her hand on her collarbone, she takes a deep breath to the scope of her exertions. The ship chooses this moment to give a tremendous lurch. Joanna is flung violently backwards against the gate, which, because she forgot to latch it, swings open, catapulting Joanna back to the unguarded prow, where she teeters 1 inch from the edge. She tries to get back to the railing, but the heel of her shoe lodges firmly in a crack, and Joanna can't move her right leg. The final lurch sends her toppling backwards, and splash! She's overboard, flailing wildly to stay afloat. Interior cabin of yacht. Grant now has a TV turned up so high she's inaudible. The sea by moonlight. And we see the soggy white robe floating. No Joanna. The yacht surges on without her. Exterior Main Street in Elk Cove day. Dean's truck, side view, drives up, stops at a light. We hear through the rolled down window Dean avidly complaining to Billy, who sits beside him in the front seat.
So that's it. She's out in the middle of the Pacific with my money that I earned. I can't even hire a housekeeper.
The truck pulls out of frame, and now we see that it was pulled up alongside an appliance store with a window full of TVs, all of them on, and all of them we see a picture of Joanna. We hold on the window as we hear the screech of brakes, and Dean drives back into frame. He leaps out of the car, leaving the motor running, and stares at the store window. Yes, it's Joanna on the television. Dean and Billy get out and approach the window.
That's her.
Bitch.
Does this face look familiar to you? We at KELK hope it does to one of you, because this little lady is an amnesiac. That is, she has no idea who she is.
Dean gawks.
Here's the beach where our mystery woman was found unclothed, unconscious, and in shock.
We see a dazed Joanna wrapped in a blanket being escorted from the beach by police.
She has no idea how she got there or who she is. So far, she has been unable to tell authorities her own name.
The TV, interior, a hospital on Joanna. She's in a hospital gown looking very peeved as reporters thrust microphones at her.
Of course, I know it. Ugh, this is absolutely absurd. Of course I know. How can one not know one's own? Hey, could you remove those? I don't wish to discuss this.
Interior yacht cabin morning. Grant has fallen asleep with the TV on. He yawns, opens one eye, closes it, and both eyes pop open as he sees Joanna's face on the TV, still on from the night before. We then see a police sergeant with large red welts down the side of his face, obviously the result of being raked by female claws.
So, if any of you have any idea who this mystery woman is, please come to the Alcove Police Station. This is a reward.
Grant sits bolt upright as another picture of Joanna flashes on the screen.
To repeat today's top story, a woman with amnesia was found at dawn this morning.
Grant rushes from the room. Exterior deck of yacht. Grant rushes out, shielding his hungover eyes from the glare. He looks around, sees only Joanna's high heel, sticking forlornly out of the prow of the deck. Grant.
Damn it, Travis.
I'm sorry. Oh shit, Andrew!
Exterior the yacht, long shot, as it does a 180 and heads back the way it came. Exterior, a pier, day. The yacht docks back at the pier. Grant, tucking a long sterling carving knife into his belt, nervously descends the gangplank and starts tentatively down the pier. He freezes with terror as two local fishermen come down the pier towards him and pass him with utter disinterest. Grant takes a deep breath and starts off down the main street. Exterior, the police station, day. This is a tiny little pit stop, not meant for dealing with serious criminals. Dean and Billy stand out front in mid-argument.
She don't remember her own name. You think she's going to remember she owes you $600?
Well, she does, whether she knows it or not.
During this conversation, Grant makes his nervous way up the steps without noticing them, but Dean catches a glimpse of him disappearing into the police station.
Hey, that's her husband. He remembers.
Uh-huh. So what, you're going to kick this guy's ass in the middle of a police station?
No, I'll wait here. I'll kick his ass when he comes out. That all right with you?
Interior police station. Grant approaches the cop on duty.
Excuse me, I think my wife is here.
All right. Hank! Guys here for the mystery bitch. Shit. Sorry. I guess, she's quite a little handful. That too. This way.
He leads Grant into an adjacent room. Grant approaches a one-way mirror and looks in, seeing Joanna in a detention cell, surrounded by cops and a local doctor. She's wearing a man's shirt and trousers and, what else? Complaining away.
Are you serious telling me I have no medical recourse?
Yes. There isn't a whole hell of a lot I know about amnesia.
Yes, I can see that. Would it be asking too much to obtain the opinion of a specialist?
Oh, like an amnesia doctor. Yeah, we must have a half dozen of those.
Snickers from the cops. Joanna bristles.
Would it be asking too much of your manners to tell me what other doctors you do have?
Couple of good vets for a little bitch.
Listen to me. As of right now, my life history seems to consist of a dirty beach, policeman, a pack of reporters, and a breakfast of extremely runny eggs over easy. I refuse to be incarcerated like a criminal, while no efforts are being made to locate someone who can either identify or cure me.
On Grant, his mouth open. So it's really true.
Is that it?
Grant watches Joanna, who continues to bitch, pouring forth a torrent of indignation. A slow smile spreads over his face as the beauty of the opportunity hits him.
No, I've never seen her before in my life.
The cop sighs.
I can't tell you how sorry I am to hear that.
Exterior police station. Dean and Billy back out of sight as Grant emerges, the cop following hopefully.
Know anybody who might know her?
Gee, I'm sorry. Good luck.
Chuckling to himself, Grant walks down the front steps and gives a gleeful little hop as he starts off down the street. Dean stares after him.
You see that? He's skipping out on her.
So, go kick his ass. He's getting away.
Shh, I'm thinking.
Since when?
Dean ignores this, watching Grant recede out of view with an unusually pensive expression. A smile begins to curl his lips. Exterior, the yacht. Grant bounds up the gangplank like Gene Kelly, stopping short as he sees Andrew waiting for him on deck. He composes his face into a mask of tragedy.
Mrs. Staten has decided to leave me.
Unfortunate. I'm so sorry. Will we be returning to New York?
No. I need time to think, to be alone, to heal. I think we should continue with our world cruise exactly as planned.
Without Mrs. Staten?
I need to forget.
Yes, sir.
And let's get away from here. Let's go south.
Where exactly, sir, did you have in mind?
Grant gazes moodily out to sea.
Oh, Rio.
Interior police station day. Dean, hair combed, grins winningly at the cop on duty.
Yeah, I'm here to pick up my wife.
The cop gasps with gratitude.
I chose the wrong time to take a drink. Really? Okay. Now, freeze. Stay right there. I'll get the Sarge. Sarge, we got a husband!
Billy, who is here with Dean, yanks him aside.
Come on, man. Let's get out of here.
No, that woman owes me $600. I'm going to take it out in trade.
And you think they're just going to give you that woman?
The sergeant appears beaming, greeting Dean energetically.
Hey, brother, great to see you. Jesus, I thought we'd never get rid of that bitch over there.
Dean's hand lunges into frame, grabs the sergeant and slams him up against the wall, Clint Eastwood style. The sergeant's feet dangle inches off the ground.
Hey.
What did you call my wife?
Oh, hey, well, you know as well as anybody, she gets a little hard on the ears. I'll just go get her.
He backs out of the room.
Here are a few personal effects that seem to have washed up with her. I don't know why she needs so many pens.
The cop hands Dean several photos of Joanna. He hands Dean a paper bag. Dean inspects its contents, pulls out a lacy pair of underwear, monogrammed JS.
And you might as well take these. We were gonna send these over to the AP wires, but now that you're here.
The cop hands Dean several photos of Joanna, obviously in mid-tirade. She looks pissed.
Thanks a lot.
Dean hurriedly stuffs these items into his overcoat pocket as we hear from down the hall the inevitable torrent of vehement opinions that means Joanna is being brought out.
You're on your own with this one, man. I gotta swear under oath that I had nothing to do with this.
He ducks out of the station as a doctor enters with Joanna in tow. Dean beams with recognition and steps forward. Joanna frowns as she takes in this handsome, flannel-shirted, blue-jeaned roughneck.
Annie!
Before she can say a word, he crosses to her, takes her in his arms, and plants a huge kiss right on the mouth. She squirms, breaking away.
What do you think you're... Ugh! Who is this man?
Annie, you don't know me?
Certainly not.
Dean looks at the doctor as though bewildered by Joanna's cold glare. The doctor takes him aside.
Your wife's had an almost total loss of memory.
Oh, God, how long will it last?
No way to tell. Could be a week, could be a year. We don't really know much about this kind of thing.
I can't believe she wouldn't know her own husband.
Husband? This missing person is not my husband.
She shakes her head, shrinking against the wall in horror.
Oh, Annie.
Annie. And no, it's not right. It's not my name.
You'll have to start all over with her. She's had a major shock.
Dean approaches her, eyes brimming with tenderness, concern.
Annie, God, this is crazy. Well, everything's going to be okay. I'm Dean Prophet.
All right. I realize that I don't remember numerous things, but I truly, from the depths of my soul, do not remember you. Don't you think there'd be some spark of recognition?
Well, maybe you'll spark to this.
Sorry, I just lost my page.
Page 29.
He sweeps her into his arms and kisses her passionately. She breaks free.
Officer?
Oh, shenanigans. I didn't even realize you said the no proof line. Okay. He seems to like you.
Oh no, I didn't say the no.
I'm glad I didn't fuck it up.
Stranger off the street. He has no proof. It's my fault. Sorry.
It's okay. I
The
still
police
love you.
shrug. They don't really care, so long as they get rid of her.
He seems to like you. Huh?
What's my full name?
Come on, baby.
What is it?
Mrs. Annie Prophet.
What's my maiden name?
Annie Goulahy.
Annie Goulahy. Where in God's name did I grow up? Dog Patch?
No, not there. Over in Goobler, North Carolina.
Where did I meet you?
Hank's Donut World. You used to hang out there when you were still in the Navy.
I was in the armed forces?
Hey, I still got the postcards from Okinawa.
No. The Navy?
Now, come on. You know that.
No, I don't know that. I don't know any of this. I don't know. I want proof.
The sergeant sighs, takes Dean aside.
Look, if it was up to me, you could have her, but you understand, I gotta require some sort of validation.
Well, I don't like to talk about this in public, but she's got this little strawberry birthmark right down there on her hip.
The three men look expectantly at Joanna, dreading. She takes refuge behind a desk, hiding her from the waist down. We hear a zip. She looks down. Her eyes widen with revulsion. It's true.
Come to daddy.
Interior Dean's truck cab. Dean and Joanna, who for simplicity's sake we will now be known as Annie, are traveling through a rural countryside, which she eyes with bewilderment. She peers at Dean, who is as unfamiliar as ever.
What was I doing on the beach?
Well, see, it's a thing you like to do, hunting for oysters at night. Something about getting in that mud up to your knees really turns you on. One time we went down there with a 6-pack and a blanket. And
Stop.
She shudders, puts her hand to her temple, gazes forlornly out the window at the modest farms, pig pens and all.
I don't live near here, do I?
see, you do remember. We live right here.
Exterior the truck pulls up a long potholed dirt driveway, twin rivulets of dust kicking up around it. Interior the truck cab. Annie can't see anything but dust. They come to a stop. The dust settles. Annie's point of view. Tobacco Road. The yard is strewn with auto parts, an old bathtub, a honking goose, barking dogs, and a weed-infested garden. There's an old wooden house on no discernible foundation with a charred front porch.
This isn't.
Welcome home.
Exterior front yard of Dean's place. Dean helps her out of the car.
Home. I can't live here.
What's the matter, baby doll?
This is wrong.
She's drowned out by barks as two dogs come bounding joyfully towards her, leaping on her with muddy paws, obviously greeting their mistress. What Annie doesn't see is that Dean's holding a milk bone behind her back.
Oh, hey, George and Mabel will be glad to have you back.
They're wolves.
Everybody's glad you're back.
Everybody.
Dean opens the front door. Annie's point of view, interior house. This shack is not only in the boonies, it's beyond Thunderdome. As the two mutts yap ceaselessly, Greg, 10, is dueling to the death with his non-identical twin brother Travis, using a toilet plunger and a sponge mop, following the example of Errol Flynn movie that rolls crazily in the shot picture tube, which is somewhat crookedly in an oversized TV cabinet. Out of harm's way, beneath the kitchen table, Joe, 7, a greasy feral runt in a dirty Spider-Man t-shirt, sits cross-legged, the contents of an entire package of spaghetti spread around him. He dips a stiff spaghetti strand into a jar of chocolate sauce and munches blissfully. Charlie, the oldest at 14, dressed in greasy workman's coveralls, works intently on a nasty-looking chainsaw he's semi-dismantled on the kitchen table.
Hey,
The room quiets somewhat.
your mother's home.
A chorus of "Hi, moms!" The kids wave at her cheerfully. Annie reels as though knocked backwards by a physical blow.
They're not.
She can't even say it.
Ah, Jesus, baby. I was sure you'd remember them.
Now you listen to me. I think I would know if I had.
Annie's eyes roll back in her sockets. Her knees buckle. Dean catches her before she hits the ground. Interior kitchen area day. Dean carries the passed out Annie in his arms, followed by his kids.
Okay, that was pretty good.
Dean lays her out, corpse-like, on the kitchen table. They all gaze down at her as though she was Frankenstein on the slab.
Well, how do you like her?
She's pretty.
She's dead.
She's not dead.
I don't like her.
What's wrong with her?
She has no tits.
What do you mean? That's not for you to decide or even think about.
Get real, Dad.
She's a fake blonde.
No, she's not.
Let's pull some out and see.
Get away from there. You wanted to hear you. Come on, come here, come on.
He herds them back to the living room area.
Let's run through this one more time. Now, what do we call it?
Mom.
Why do we want to do that?
So she'll cook and clean up.
And what'll happen if we mess up?
She'll skin us alive.
Worse, no TV for 2 weeks.
No, it's broken anyway.
I'll fix it and then I'll take it away. So now what do you say, huh? Huh? You know what happens to smart mouths, huh?
With every huh, Dean tickles Travis, who squeals, tries to get away, but can't. Get Dad! The other kids pile on Dean like football players, shrieking with laughter. This is a familiar game. A lamp tips over, crashing to the floor in smithereens. Dean draws himself up.
Now see what you did.
The kids laugh and pile on him afresh. Annie finally comes to, opens her eyes to see Dean imitating the Tasmanian devil chasing the squealing kids around the room. Annie blinks in horror at these savages, crawls off the table, and sneaks out the door. Greg looks up from the rough house, sees the empty table.
Dad!
Exterior front of house. Annie bursts from the house and runs down the driveway towards the main road. Interior kitchen. Dean and the kids watch this through the windows. He looks down at the dogs.
You up for a run?
They bark joyfully. Exterior lower driveway. Annie is running. Here's the barking dogs. Steps on it. Dean and the dogs are in pursuit. Annie veers blindly off the road and into the trees. Through the trees, Annie runs, crashing through the underbrush, hearing the barking growing louder behind her.
Now stop. That's pure poison oak.
She stops immediately, quivering with fear. Dean comes up behind her.
Every one of those little leaves will make you itch for a week.
She stands, frozen in fear, surrounded by red foliage.
Now, baby, I know it all seems strange. It's strange to me, too, not to have my little girl know her own family. But don't you worry. We'll get you reacquainted.
Exterior, the front porch day. Annie sits on a stump facing the house, chalk white with shock and amazement. The kids are lined up on the porch, squirming restlessly. Dean stands like a ringmaster, displaying tame lions.
Okay. This is Charlie. Charlie's the oldest, and that's Travis.
The smartest.
and Greg. They're twins. I guess you can see they're not identical.
Yeah, or I'd look like a shithead.
That's you, butthole.
They came out fighting and they're still at it. And this is Joe. Joe, give your mother a kiss.
The 7-year-old steps forward and promptly falls on his face, victim of tied shoelaces. The other kids laugh and run off. Joe, yelling angrily, stumbles after them. Annie watches in horror.
There are so many of them.
You always had your heart set on 6, so we keep trying.
But they don't look like me. I can't imagine.
Well, they do take after your mother. Let's just hope they don't grow up to be luscious.
My mother is a lush.
Was cirrhosis.
She's what about my father?
Alive and well. And he's due for parole in 2 years.
I don't want to hear this. I can remember for myself.
She puts her hands to her temples, concentrating with all her might. Nothing.
Now, baby, the doctor said the best way for you to do that was to just get right back to your normal routine. He says that's the only sure way to jar everything loose. So you got to do what you normally do.
What did I normally do?
He smiles. Interior kitchen night. Dean leads Annie to the stove, where a chicken and some vegetables are displayed, along with a pot of boiling water. Annie surveys them with mystified repugnance.
I prepared and handled raw food.
You cooked every night.
This is ludicrous. I've never done this in my life.
Her point of view, the dining table. All 4 kids are staring at her expectantly, like Oliver Twist. Mommy, I'm hungry. The other kids start to whimper.
They're tall enough to reach the burners. Can't they make their own dinner?
But you make their dinner every night. Now, here we go. First thing you want to do is wash some of these carrots.
He hands the carrots to Annie. She holds them by their ends, revulsed, and allows herself to be walked over to the sink. She looks down and recoils in revulsion. Annie's point of view, the sink. A large turtle lumbers across the sink bottom. Greg immediately springs to her side.
What is that?
Got him at school. His name's Lucky.
Aw, stupid.
My God, it's a pet. Get that revolting thing out of here.
You said I could keep him.
Annie stares at him. Since she can't remember what she did and didn't say, he's got her.
I don't care what I said. Just do something with it. Take it outside.
He'll run away.
Right, dumb thing moves about a foot a year.
He's smarter than you.
Travis snatches up the hapless creature, leans over to the stove, and dangles it over the boiling water. Turtle soup! Turtle soup! Dean grabs the turtle and gives it to Greg.
Nobody touches this turtle but me.
There is a beat as all his siblings look at each other, snicker unanimously, and begin to advance on Greg, hands outstretched to touch the turtle. Greg realizes his error and runs for it, his brothers thundering after him.
Do they have some sort of problem with their glands?
Well, you know, boys. Now, you're going to put this chicken in the pot. Just chuck her in there. That's my little baby.
Annie, revolted, picks up the chicken by the end of the drumstick and, holding it at arm's length, drops it in the boiling water. Dean applauds. Annie sinks into a chair, drained by the effort.
I am utterly exhausted. I must go to bed.
Oh, you will. Real soon.
Interior master bedroom night. Dean opens the door for a wary Annie. She walks in, taking in the tiny room, big enough only for a bed and a chest of drawers. She runs her hands over the items in the dresser. A hairbrush, cheap bottle of cologne. She sniffs it, wrinkles her nose. A box of tampons. Dean, meanwhile, notices the Goodwill price sticker still sticking to one of the house dresses in the closet. He discreetly peels it off as Annie eyes the dog lolling on the bed. Clearly, it's a custom sleeping place.
Shoo! Get out!
She waves her
out.
hands awkwardly at the dog, which lumbers off the bed and out of the room. Annie turns and is stopped cold by the sight of Dean taking off his shirt.
Stop that.
Stop what?
Stop stripping.
Dean stares at her like she's out of her mind, which indeed she feels like as though she is.
Baby.
The weirdest part is this guy looks great without a shirt. And in his eyes, it's that little twinkle that lets the woman know she's in for a good time.
This is impossible. I don't know you.
You still don't remember anything?
I do not.
Might help you remember.
Oh, I see. Therapy.
Yeah.
That's very generous of you, but absolutely not.
Oh, hey, I understand. I do.
He starts for the door, grins.
I'll just have to work my charms on you all over again. Turns out anything like last time, you'll jump my bones on the first date.
We on the first date.
You dragged me into the back of your daddy's truck and had right at me in the 7-Eleven parking lot. Didn't even have to buy you a beer. It was pretty good, too. Good night.
He's gone, leaving Annie alone, miserable, and, if what he says is true, a slut. The next morning, Annie, in bed, is awakened by screams. She sits bolt upright. Interior upstairs hall. Annie, in a ratty terry cloth robe, follows the screams into the bathroom, where the pandemonium has broken loose. Travis is doing all he can to keep a struggling Greg from reaching into the toilet, where Joe, sitting gleefully on the sink, keeps flushing it with his foot.
Same.
Annie, dreading, looks down into the toilet to see Lucky the turtle belly up, his shell stuck in the bowl. He kicks helplessly as the water gushes around him.
Get him out of there.
Break him in half. He'll go down. Joe nods obediently as he stands on the edge of the sink.
No.
Joe jumps, but Annie whisks him out of midair, placing his little body out of the way.
Travis, get that thing out there this second.
You get him out.
I am not plunging my hands into a toilet.
Travis and Joe drag a screaming Greg out of the room.
You hear me?
They're gone. Annie sighs, sinks to her knees, closes her eyes, turns her head, and reaches for the turtle. Interior kitchen. Dean is haphazardly making 4 bologna sandwiches at once and stuffing them into lunch sacks as the kids come thundering down the stairs.
Step it up. You'll miss the bus. Go, go, go. Jackets. Go, go.
They grab their jackets as Dean herds them out the front door to the exterior, the front porch, where we see the little figures racing down the driveway for the bus in the distance. Interior living room.
Are they gone?
Yeah.
Annie comes tentatively down the stairs, buttoning up the buttons on one of the cheap and definitely used house dresses we saw hanging in her closet. It's obviously tight on her. She fingers the polyester material with revulsion.
This garment cannot possibly belong to me.
Huh? That's your favorite.
Then why is it a size too small?
Oh, no. I guess it's happening.
What's happening?
The same thing that happened to your sisters. They stay skinny for years, then they all just blow up like balloons. Happens overnight.
Horror-struck, Annie feels her midriff for symptoms of bloat. She sinks into a chair. Dean puts a reassuring hand on her shoulder.
Hey, don't worry. I'll still love you.
I can't think about this. I can't think until I've had my coffee.
She raises her hand as though summoning a servant.
Black, please, sweet and low and very strong.
Yeah. You'll feel better when you brew some up. Well,
He kisses the top of her head, grabs his toolkit.
Where are you going?
you know, baby, to work.
She frowns. Apparently, the concept isn't too familiar with her. He starts out. She grabs his arm.
But I can't stay here.
You want to come help me drywall?
No, I want to remember. What did I do all day?
Your weekly chores. I know you don't remember, so I made you up a little list.
He hands her a piece of paper. She stares at it with trepidation. Music up under, a montage of ineptitude. Interior kitchen day. Annie opens the cabinet under the sink where the cleaning supplies are stored. She eyes them.
Large black beetles. This strikes no chords.
Interior living room, series of shots. Annie is spraying Raid in every conceivable crevice, under every cushion, and even inside an abandoned tennis shoe. Annie awkwardly sweeps a cloud of dust in the general direction of an unsecured dustpan on the floor. The dustpan flies across the room like a golf ball. Annie drops the broom and sinks into a chair in exhaustion and continues to sink as the ancient upholstery swallows her whole. Interior grocery store day. Annie is uncertainly pushing a shopping cart as Dean throws a succession of horrible items into it. The largest economy box of detergent known to man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mousetraps, a toilet plunger. Another angle. They have reached the meat counter. Tentatively, dreamily, her hand reaches out for a steak. Dean's hand comes into frame, covers hers, and moves her hand over to the hamburger. She eyes him unhappily. He shrugs. Interior upstairs hall. As the kids go bounding by her for another day of school, Annie, carrying a mop and a pail, opens up the door to their room. Her point of view, the kids' room. It is a large attic dormer bedroom with 4 unmade beds. The floor is concealed under mountains of junk, toys, comic books, candy wrappers, dirty laundry, old food dishes crusted with scum, stray potato chips, scattered board games, a badminton racket, and, wandering through the rubble, a kitten or two. Annie drops the mop and pail, turns, and expressionlessly walks out. Why bother? Interior living room day. We hear a distant thundercap. Annie is rushing around the room, placing every available pot, pan, any remotely convex item beneath a torrent of leaks that cascade from the ceiling. Just as she gets the last one in place, the dogs come bounding into the doggy door and shake themselves dry, spraying her from head to toe. She does a slow burn. Interior hall outside master bedroom. Dean lingers in the doorway, looking seductive. Annie, standing inside the bedroom, slams the door in his face. We hear the click of a deadbolt. Interior bowling alley. Annie shuffles awkwardly, trying to keep her balance in the slick floor in the rented shoes, to the foot of a lane. She gingerly slips her fingers into one of the balls on the rack, lifts it, steps back into position. She swings the ball behind her. Dean and the kids dive out of the way as the ball crashes through their score table. Interior hall outside master bedroom. Annie again slams the door in Dean's face. We hear the click of the deadbolt and the sound of heavy furniture being pushed in front of the door. Exterior riverbank day. The family is fishing. Annie stands in the river in a pair of thigh-high fishing boots, miserably holding a fishing pole. On the rock next to her is the remnants of a picnic. She reaches for a cracker. Annie's point of view, the open jar of fish bait. Annie's pupils dilate. She drops her pole in the water. Dreamy, trance-like. She reaches for a knife, spreads some of the bait on a cracker, and begins to bring the vile concoction up to her mouth. Dean notices this and grabs her wrist. She snaps to and stares at the cracker, horrified. Interior front hall windows. Annie has a sponge in a bucket. She gingerly wets the sponge and lifts it toward the grime-encrusted window panes. Unfortunately, the first window she picks is a crack, and it shatters instantly. Exterior shed outside house. Annie drops many inappropriate items, overcoats, shoes, etc., into a rusty, malevolent-looking old washer, peers at the control dial, and turns it on. Dangerously overloaded and imbalanced, the washer rattles itself free from its position near the sink and begins to walk towards her, stalking her like a robot with brain damage. She yelps and runs. Exterior behind the house day. Charlie revs up a chainsaw and hands it to Annie, who holds it as far from her body as possible, trembling with terror. She edges tentatively toward the log pile, trips on a root, and stumbles. In a frantic attempt to keep the saw above her head, she cuts through an overhanging tree branch, which falls, braining her, causing her to stagger backwards where the saw shears the ropes of the clothesline. The clothes fall into the mud and over her face, obscuring her vision. She staggers blindly, cutting to the body of a scarecrow in half. Dean and Charlie watch, mouths open, as this ballet of ineptitude shows no symptom of finality. Exterior Acapulco Harbor, day. Grant's yacht. The boat is tied to a pier, a much more prosperous pier than Elk Cove. A yacht-infested pier. Grant, very much in his element, comes waltzing up the gangplank, the brown young beauty. Andrew peers at them, embarrassed by what he sees. He draws Grant aside.
Sir, forgive me for commenting on your personal life, but is this really wise?
No problem. I had her tested at a clinic, clean as a whistle.
I wasn't referring to the potential venereal disease factor.
The telephone rings. Andrew picks it up as Grant jubilantly steers the girl toward the cabin.
Sir,
What?
Mrs. Morgan.
Damn, tell her. All right.
He pulls the girl into a yacht cabin.
Here, you sit here and bundle this.
He pulls a sable stole out of Joanna's closet, drapes it over the girl's shoulders, and grabs the phone.
Hello, Edith. Oh yes, a wonderful time. Unexpectedly wonderful.
Interior Edith's kitchen day. Edith sits, overseeing a groomer who is artistically shaving her miserable little poodle.
I find that intensely difficult to believe.
Definitely a thing of the past.
Ah! I'm not done finishing my thought.
Oh, sorry.
You're not still having those fights, are you?
On Grant.
I mean, now you may speak.
Definitely a thing of the past, man.
On Edith.
Well, put my daughter on. I'd like to wish her a happy birthday.
On Grant.
Birthday? Oh, yes. Well, Edith, Joanna's not here. I sent her on to the mainland so I could put together a little, surprise party.
On Edith.
Well, that's a thoughtful gesture, Grant. And not at all like you. What have you done?
What?
What have you done to poor Joanna that you have to atone for? You're not known for your spontaneous generosity.
You'd be surprised. Well, here come the caterers. I'd better run. Ice buckets over here. Native catering service. They're mixing stainless with silver. I have to go.
Well, just tell Joanna Now you can step on my damn line, bitch! Jesus.
I will, Edith. Goodbye, Edith.
Ugh.
He hangs up, begins dancing with the girl around the room as he's saying,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joanna. Happy birthday to you.
extreme close-up of Annie. She is catatonic, staring into space, wide in frame to reveal that we are in the Prophet living room night. Dean comes in from work, toolkit in hand, to find Annie sitting in the armchair, glassy-eyed and slack-jawed. From 10 feet away, the kids take turns tossing grapes, which bounce off her forehead. No response.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing. Dean moves in closer for a look at Annie.
What's wrong with her?
She's been like that for an hour, but she's getting better.
Better?
She's not going. He mimes a person with uncontrollable shakes.
Why'd you do that?
It's your fault.
You threw the darts at her.
I was going for the skunk.
Who let a skunk in the house?
Joe, Travis, and Greg point at each other, shouting at once. Dean leans close to her.
Hey, baby doll, what's for dinner?
Annie, as per Travis's imitation of her, starts shaking uncontrollably, going. Dean grabs her, hoists her into his arms, and takes her out to the front porch, where there's a gigantic rain barrel and unceremoniously dumps the still stammering Annie into the very cold water. She is instantly shocked into silence, her open mouth gasping like a fish.
I'm sorry, baby doll, I had to do it.
Sputtering, he finds her tongue and helps her ever so tenderly take out of the rain barrel and even dries her with his jacket.
I don't belong here. I don't think I feel it. can't do any of these vile things. I never want to. Every moment is a nightmare. My children are the spawn of hell. You're the devil. God.
Now you won't feel that way when you start remembering.
Well, I'm not remembering, and I haven't a clue as how do I go about.
She trails off, thinks. Clearly, something has occurred to her. Interior living room, night. Annie is rummaging through every drawer in the room, ransacking it like a burglar.
What are you doing?
Not that it's any of your concern, but I'm looking for memorabilia.
Of what?
Photographs, scrapbooks, something that will spark some wisp of a memory. Do we or do we not possess these things?
Well, sure. I don't know where they'd be. We've only been here a couple of weeks. A lot of things are still in boxes from the move.
We moved here deliberately.
Oh, yeah. Our last place was a real dump.
Annie waves this unimaginable thought away, moves to the closet, starts to ransack.
There's nothing in there.
How do you know? You just said you didn't know where they'd be.
Well, I know where they're not going to be, and they're not going to be in this closet. What's the matter?
Annie stares at him, jarred by something familiar.
The closet. The closet. And you. This is familiar.
Well, we've kept our clothes in the same closet for 14 years, and it damn well better be. Now, come on.
He leads her away from the dangerously provocative closet.
Fine. You're so sure where everything is, you find the pictures.
Look, for all I know, they got lost in a movie.
Do you mean to tell me that there is not one piece of photographic evidence of our life together anywhere in existence?
Dean grins weakly. Exterior Billy's trailer, night. Dean's station wagon roars up, honking. A few seconds pass. Billy, in a bathrobe, comes down the front steps with a flashlight as Dean jumps out of the car.
Somebody better be dead.
I need a favor.
Dean pulls out a familiar envelope, the envelope of photographs of Annie he was given at the police station. Interior Billy's trailer. Billy takes the photos of Joanna and throws them down on the table.
No.
For your old buddy.
Get somebody else.
Come on, man. You make the best fake IDs God ever saw.
Well, I'm not going to make you a fake wife.
Why not?
I'm out of the business. I got my own company. Things are going good. I'm not going to mess up my life again.
Billy, I'm not asking you to forge anything. I just want you to put her into these pictures.
Dean produces a handful of his own family photos.
I don't have a camera anymore. I don't have my equipment. What are you doing?
Dean casts a practiced eye around the trailer, notices a loose panel on the ceiling, reaches up and pokes it loose. He pulls down a box and opens it. It contains a camera, multitude of engraving tools, pens, inks, etc. Billy sighs. Caught.
You know me too long.
Hey, maybe a marriage certificate while you're at it.
An hour later, Billy, sitting at the table, carefully pastes the cutout silhouette of Joanna into a picture of Dean and the younger. Interior Billy's bathroom. It has been converted temporarily into a dark room. Dean and Billy bend over the sink.
Well, I'm telling you right now, if this thing ever gets out, I'm not going to get sucked down the John Wick, man. I'm going to deny under oath that I never knew anything about this. Here she comes.
Close on the developing tray. As we see one of the pictures comes up through the developer, a faded wedding picture of Dean and Annie. And we dissolve to the same photo, now in Annie's hand. We pull back to find that we are in the master bedroom. Annie sits on the bed, peering at the photo with a total lack of familiarity.
It's my wedding day. Why do I look so annoyed?
Oh, your father showed up shit-faced. We had to throw him out.
She sifts through the photographs, shaking her head with misery.
Then it's true. I belong here. In this hovel.
Hovel. Hey, pretty snotty words for a little girl off a pig farm.
I grew up among. But what if I did? I don't care. My home is not going to be a pig farm. My children are not going to be pigs. And my husband.
She trails
Honey.
off, eyes him up and down.
I may not be able to do much with you. Good night.
Exterior upstairs hall. The door slams in Dean's face. He grins. A second later, the door opens again and the dogs are hurtled out. It slams again. Exterior, a raised, large, vacant lot. Day. Several burly construction workers are grading the site for eventual golf course. Billy stands holding an open encyclopedia, which he scrutinizes unhappily.
Yeah, what's the matter? I just looked up the real wonders of the world. The Pyramid of Giza, the hell kind of wonder is that? Yeah, it's a stupid wonder. I promised I'd keep the real 7 ones. The hell am I gonna do with the pyramid?
Dean, arriving late, jumps out of his truck and trots over.
Hey, where you been?
Oh, just giving the little woman a few pointers on the rototiller. It's taken her a while to get the hang of mud.
You son of a bitch.
Right, man. I'm just getting even.
Music up under, sequence of Annie's increasing competence.
You should see how I got her trained.
Interior shed, day. Annie comes in carrying a mountainous load of laundry, which obscures her face. She puts it down as a washer, already in mid-cycle, starts to walk again. She gives it a well-placed savage kick. It gurgles and stops at once, humming obediently.
I just snap my fingers and she hops too.
Exterior yard, day. Dean, holding a rifle, nods at Annie, who obligingly, but without enthusiasm, takes an old dented hubcap out of a pile and throws it in high into the air as though it were a clay pigeon. Blam! Dean blasts the hubcap, nodding at her to throw up another one.
As she's learning a trick or two.
Interior hall, day. Annie scrubs the window panes. The music swells as the dirt runs down in rivulets, and we finally see the first shaft of sunlight penetrate through the gloom. She beams.
Of course, she's still a little short on maternal instinct.
Interior kid's bedroom, morning. We see the 4 boys asleep in their beds. Annie comes in with 2 pot lids and starts clanging them together. A moment later, she is pelted with toys, junk, etc.
Sometimes it's still touch and go.
Interior bathroom. This is the morning rush in the Prophet bathroom. Greg splashes in the tub. Annie and Charlie are brushing their teeth, and from the position of Joe, seen from the rear, we gather he's peeing. The scenario resembles the stateroom scene in Night at the Opera. As if it weren't enough, Travis barrels into the room, screaming bloody murder, holding a bed pillow to the back of his head.
What is it?
I'll kill him! He lunges for Greg, who pokes his tongue out from the relative safety of the tub. Annie pulls the boy's flailing arms to his sides and immediately understands the problem. His pillow remains stuck to the back of his head.
Wonderful.
He glued me.
Got you back. Got you back.
Now I'm really going to kill that stupid turtle.
You just try.
I'm burying him. You'll never find him. Annie stands between them.
Stop it. What did you use?
Stuff from Dad's toolbox.
Annie grabs the pillow, pulling a yelping Travis towards her.
Do not move or speak.
Travis whimpers. Annie grabs a pair of scissors off the counter and snips the pillow loose from Travis's head. Travis immediately lunges for Greg, trying to dunk and drown him.
And it's not easy teaching a useless person to do stuff. I got to be creative about this.
Interior bowling alley, face crushed with fear. Annie stands awkwardly posed to try another shot of bowling. Dean slides up behind her and gives her ass a little tweak. Her face darkens with anger. In a cold fury, she hurtled the ball at the pins. Strike! Dean smiles.
But some stuff she'll never get.
Interior the station wagon moving. Day. Annie is learning to drive.
Keep to the right, the right. Jesus. Listen, the truth is you never were much on driving. Let's just forget it.
No, I'm going to be trapped in the house. What's this again?
That's the
A horrible grinding noise comes from the engine.
clutch. And that's your old friend, Mr. Brake.
You don't have to be sarcastic. I am able to differentiate.
The car screeches to a stop and stalls as Annie experiments with the concept of braking. Dean sighs.
Okay, start her up.
I may be a little vague on the subject, but shouldn't there be some sort of key?
Well, there was.
And
It's around.
buried under archaeological layers of debris, I have no doubt.
Dean takes a tangle of wires under the car and effectively hot wires it. The car wheezes to life.
Isn't hot wiring illegal?
Women driving a stick is what ought to be illegal. Now, come on, start steering or walk.
The car lurches
Wow.
forward.
Wow. Why would I have ever married you?
I'd be happy to show you.
Ignorance is bliss.
So she never remembers a thing.
Nope, just gets a little twinge now and then.
Exterior side of house. Annie comes out carrying 2 full sacks of garbage. She's struck by the sight of Dean wielding a miniature replica of the Eiffel Tower. Annie drops the garbage sacks.
Le Tour Eiffel, comme c'est joie, je dois les Champs-Élysées. I speak French. It just came out. Oh, do I know what I said? Yes, I do. Was I stationed in Paris
Station?
when I was in the Navy?
Oh, yeah, the Navy, right.
Exterior miniature golf course day.
It's a little work keeping all my stories straight, but as far as she knows, she's just Mrs. Annie Prophet, my own personal little cook, bottle washer, babysitter, and maid.
Kidnapping, brainwashing. I'd say you're looking at 15 to 20.
Nah, I got her under my thumb.
Close up on Annie's eyes, narrowed with annoyance. Pull back to reveal. Interior kitchen, which the smooth moves of a pro. Annie cuts the crusts off 4 sandwiches and wraps them, stirs scrambled eggs, puts down dog food for the dogs. Dean comes down the stairs holding a pile of shirts.
Baby, must I specify when I ask for starch that it be light starch?
He dumps the shirts on the kitchen table on his way out the door.
Well, I'm off to bring home the bacon.
He blows her a kiss and goes. Muttering under her breath, Annie picks her way around the full pans of leak water to the bottom of the stairs.
Children, breakfast. What are the dreadful little...
She reaches into the cupboard for the plates, grabbing 2 in each hand. She places them on the table and turns back to the cupboard and freezes as the plates remain stuck to her hands.
Greg!
Mischievous giggles from both Greg and Travis. They peek around the corner, laughing. They've been waiting for this. Annie stands helpless, clicking the plates together like giant lobster claws.
Right, all right, that's it.
Plates on her hands notwithstanding, Annie gets a grip on the full pot of leak water and chucks it right at Greg and Travis' astonished faces. A curtain of water drenches them. The kids immediately grab some of the other buckets of water, tossing them at Annie, but the water just hits the rapidly closing back door, which Annie has just run out. Get her! Exterior's front porch. The kids rush out after her, see Annie running for her life, disappearing through the trees. The kids lunge after her, hooting like Zulus pursuing Colonel Wild. Annie is running. The kids are closing in through the woods, tearing through the trees. The kids getting closer. She's tackled. All join in the pile-up, tickling her mercilessly, a writhing ball of bodies. She shrieks, grabbing and tickling any exposed flank she can reach with her elbows and knees. She's laughing now, not just from the tickling. It's also ridiculous that she's laughing from her gut. The first release she's had since this nightmare started. Finally, energy begins to drain out of the free-for-all, and everyone lies underneath the pine needles, panting for breath and giggling. Annie composes herself, tries to regain what little authority she has.
All right, off to school.
Slowly, everyone gets to their feet, brushing off the dry leaves. Wider angle, and we see that Annie and the kids have been rolling around in the infamous clearing Dean warned her about. It's a jungle of poison oak. Interior 5th grade classroom. The teacher, a severe old maid who obviously detests kids, is passing out pencils and tests to the 10-year-olds.
So you'll have to answer these questions very carefully. Arthur, are you paying attention? There will be scores given to each of you from these tests. Scores will go on your permanent record. They will determine your placement in future classes. So you'll have to really concentrate. Travis!
Travis is writhing in his seat.
Travis, Prophet!
I'm itchy.
Hmm.
Me too.
Pan to Greg, who is squirming too.
Greg Prophet! Stop that right now!
I can't.
Both boys are scratching themselves furiously.
I don't want to have to tell you again.
Interior Profit Kitchen. Annie, soaking her hands, finally succeeds in prying one of the plates off as the phone rings. She answers it with her one free hand. Interior Principal's office. A breathless Annie comes in. Note, throughout the scene, Annie's jacket hangs draped over one arm.
I'm Annie Prophet. What happened?
The principal, a self-righteous battle axe of a woman, motions for Annie to sit down.
Well, Mrs. Prophet, apparently your children didn't feel like taking the Schwartzman-Heinlein test.
And what are the Schwartzman-Heimlichen tests?
They're a comprehensive battery of IQ and deductive reasoning tests we find very valuable in determining, well,
Mrs. Libra, what did my children do?
they decided to play sick, and not very convincingly.
She gestures through the doorway to a detention area where Charlie, Joe, Greg, and Travis sit on a bench, whimpering and writhing. Annie peers at them, frowning.
This isn't the first time they've been down in my office. You have a discipline problem, Mrs. Prophet. Mrs. Prophet?
Annie has walked into the detention area where she takes a good look at the kids, whose faces are breaking out into very real rash. They are all weeping.
Oh my God, poison oak!
She wheels around, voice rising in the commandeering manner we all know so well.
Mrs. Libra, would you mind stepping out here and taking a glance at these children?
The principal steps out of her office and looks.
Is it possible that it's escaped your attention that these children have head to toe poison oak?
No, yes, but
But what? My children are in need of medical assistance, and you sit smugly and lecture me on the importance of tests which exist to pigeonhole children's potential, a thing which cannot possibly be measured, least of all by anal compulsive Huns. I have no doubts whatsoever about my children's intelligence. I do, however, have serious questions about yours. Children?
Instinctively, Annie makes a sweeping gesture with her coat-covered arm, revealing a still-plated hand. The kids, mouths open with newfound respect, follow her at once. Interior doctor's waiting room day. Dean pays the doctor bill at the window. The waiting patients flinch as the kids, face dotted with medicine, empathetically dominate the room. Joe is pretending to be a monster. Travis knocks over the magazine rack, and Charlie and Greg are shoving each other.
It's my fault. I led them right into it. Travis, cut it out. I completely forgot. Ouch, ow, 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 ow. Travis Sanders, get your fingers out of your brother's nose. If I had known they were allergic. Of course I didn't. Travis, Brian, Prophet, all of you, get out the door and wait outside. I mean it.
To her astonishment, but not really ours, since this was delivered in tones of classic maternal threat, all four kids filed dutifully out the door.
They obeyed.
Dean is pretty impressed himself.
Maybe they're not evil.
Evil? Who said they were evil?
Well, it's obviously in their blood to be evil. My side of the family is all winos and dope addicts, the convicted felons. God only knows what kind of genes I've passed on to them. I'm covered with it.
Interior upstairs hall, master bedroom door, night. Dean knocks on the closed bedroom door, holding up a tube of ointment.
Okay, come on now, open up.
No,
I've seen poison oak before.
this has nothing to do with vanity.
Then why can't I come in?
Because I don't trust you in here.
If you're so goddamn ugly, then that's not going to be much of a problem, is it? Look, you gotta have this medicine or you're gonna blow up like a balloon.
So what? I'm gonna do that anyway.
What?
You said the women in my family
Well, you did have this one thin aunt, Edna. Maybe you'll be like her. Now, come on.
Slowly, the door opens. Annie is covered with blotches, not as bad as the kids, but she looks like a plague victim. To his profound embarrassment, she starts to cry. Dean finds himself stepping into interior bedroom and awkwardly putting his arms around her.
Hey, come on. Nobody cares what you look like. I mean, we do like the way you look. I mean, you normally look real pretty. I mean, you don't now. Sit down here. Sit down. Sit.
Annie sits. So does the dog. Dean squeezes some medicine out of the tube and puts it on her face. It's soothing.
Tell me something.
What?
I mean, tell me something about my life. I have no past. Tell me something not horrible.
Well, back when you were working at the Burger Boy in Louisville, this little boy started choking on his BLT. Everybody panicked, but you just ran right over and whacked him on the back until he puked that sucker up. Burger Boy named you Employee of the Month. You always were a quick thinker.
He looks at her. She appears to be asleep. Even dotted with ointment, her face looks lovely, vulnerable, and innocent. Gently, he picks her up and lays her down on the bed, on which the dog is already ensconced. Dean takes a blanket, covers her up, and goes, closing the door softly. On Annie, with a sigh, she rolls over, throws an arm around the dog, and snuggles close. Exterior backyard, late afternoon. The family sits at a picnic table, finishing up the last of the barbecue, eating with paper plates and utensils. Joe is wow, I can't say that word right now. Melting plastic army men and still hot barbecue grill. Lucky the turtle is blithely crawling on the table. Greg feeds him a piece of hamburger.
Greg, now come on. We agreed Lucky was going to live in the shed.
Mom.
She shoots him a look, grumbling. Greg takes the turtle into the shed as the kids disperse.
Charlie, your turn to clear the table.
Charlie heaves a slow sigh and comes back, dragging a garbage can over to the side of the table, takes his arms and sweeps the entire contents over the edge into the can. He starts off.
What's the matter with Charlie?
I don't know. She's just at that age.
Wait a minute. What's Charlie's real name?
Charlene.
From? Oh my God.
She trails off.
This isn't in the movie.
A slow smile breaks over her face.
Oh my God. I have a little girl.
Interior kids' room day. Charlie and Annie sit on Charlie's bed, a pile of magazines spread out next to them.
All right. Now, this is Glamour. This is Vogue. This is Cosmopolitan. And never admit to a living soul that you actually read these. Now, what do you think? You can see this follows. Everything is really tapered, much rougher textures. Now, the first basic rule of fashion is that everything looks better with shoulder pads. It simply does. And just above the knee is a ludicrous skirt length, all right? No matter what anyone tells you, okay? Okay, let's find you a hairstyle. What do you think of that?
Charlie blushes and shrugs. Interior kitchen night. Annie finishes giving Charlie a haircut. Charlie's hair is now cropped like a Dutch girl. She looks adorable. She admires her reflection in a hand mirror.
So, Jennifer Beaker likes him too. She's cute, but she picks her nose and eats it.
Well, you're cute and you've got her beat on etiquette. Okay, this is rouge. We're going to just use just a dab, okay? And you blend this with your finger, okay? Start in the middle of your cheek, and there you go. Great.
Dean, who is sitting at the table, hunched over a sketch pad of designs, looks up.
Hey, now not too much of that stuff.
See that? Men always do that. They say they hate makeup and then they flip when they see you sneak it on. Go for it.
Annie leaves Charlie to her cosmetic experiments and looks over Dean's shoulder as he mutters to himself, tearing up yet another sketch.
What's the problem?
The ninth hole. It's supposed to be a pyramid thing. What I got here is a doghouse that comes to a point. It's got to be more of a big deal. I don't know.
Well, the most interesting thing about most pyramids is actually the interior. So maybe what you could do. May I?
She grabs the sketch pad close. We see her hand quickly and expertly sketching.
Just make the exterior wall plastic, so you can see through it, and then the ball rolls just up the side and into a hole at the top. It can drop down into one of those several chambers like like this.
Her hand is all over the pad, drawing mazes, chutes, ramps. Dean is impressed. Interior station wagon moving day. Annie, we may now want to go so far as to put her into the housewife kerchief, is driving the four rambunctious, squirming kids.
Now did everyone pee? Who needs to pee?
Exterior Rosa School of Ballet. The station wagon pulls up and disgorges a leotard-clad Charlie. Interior station wagon moving. Annie is driving. Exterior movie theater day. The marquee reads, "A tub of blood and co-hid, my axe, your face." The station wagon drops off Joe, who is joined by two of his friends who have been waiting for him. They gleefully go inside. Interior station wagon moving. Annie is driving, with Greg and Travis in the back. Interior bowling alley day. A kids' tournament is in progress. Greg and Travis stand with their team, all of whom are wearing bowling shirts, the back of which read, "Vic's Rib Grotto." Annie is bouncing up and down in excitement, yelling encouragement and advice, along with the other parents. As their kids bowl strikes, spares, Dean appears breathless, hands still dirty from work. He and Annie watch with intense anticipation as Travis scores a rather unimpressive, wobbly little spare. Dean and Annie scream their heads off, clutching each other and jumping up and down. Somewhat abashed, they slowly release each other, but not before a moment of heat has passed. Exterior, a resort harbor day. We see the familiar yacht anchored. Exterior deck, a degenerate Grant emerges from a cabin hung over.
Andrew, Sonia can't seem to find her underwear.
I believe you ate them, sir.
Grant squints, concentrates, realizes that it's true. The phone rings. Grant's hands shoot to his ears. The noise is excruciating. Interior Edith's dining room, day. Edith Morgan is sitting for a portrait in her most severe black and pearls.
Now, this is ludicrous, Grant. This is the 9th time I've called. Do you have the gall to tell me I've missed her again?
Interior yacht cabin, Grant, and with yet another gorgeous woman asleep in his bed.
Oh, no, Edith, she's right here, honey. Wake it, it's your mother. Edith, she's really beat. We were out dancing at the casino all night.
You and Joanna dancing? Joanna can't drag you out on a dance floor.
Yes, well, I've...
Shut up. Sorry, I was talking to Schnookums over here. Not you.
Yes, well, I've been known to trip the light fantastic once or twice.
I can't believe you didn't mispronounce fantastic. Anyway, don't babble your inanities at me. I don't believe she wouldn't call me for 3 months. Where is she?
From the volume coming up from the phone receiver, the girl actually wakes up. Grant puts his finger to his lips.
She's dead to the world. We won the jitterbug contest. And there was only 2 contestants.
Shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch. Anyway, Grant, you are not in a position to lie to me. Remember our bargain. Just kidding. Now I'm going to give you 1. Count them 1 week. If in 1 week, you do not produce my daughter, I'm going to assume that you've done something unspeakable. I will then hire a vile, ravening mercenary, and he will find you and he will hurt you. Is that clear? It's your line, bitch.
I'll find her. I mean, you'll talk to her soon. Just soon as. I swear, soon.
Exterior miniature golf course site day. Close on a golf ball resting on astroturf is delicately tapped with a club. The ball rolls along the semi-flat surface, up the side of the plywood model of an Egyptian pyramid, inches its way up the flat top, then rolls into a middle of the 3 channels, which leads it to a maze-like construction of ramps and tunnels on the opposite side. Weaving its way to the pyramid's base, the ball chooses one of several exit ramps and finally comes to rest inches from the overturned Campbell's soup can. Hoots and applause as we see Annie, miniature golf club in hand, grinning proudly. She's flanked by Dean, Billy, and burly workmen who are totally impressed.
You did it, baby. We just built it.
I can't believe it. It's perfect. We've even got a little hieroglyphs on the side.
Yeah, classes it up. Go on, hit another one.
Oh, no, thanks. It's past time for your lunch.
He walks over to the hood of his truck, hoists a picnic basket onto it, and begins to unpack an impressive and seemingly endless array of little goodies. Billy shoots Dean a look as she produces the final flourish, a modest centerpiece of fresh-picked daisies.
She hardly ever does this.
Uh-huh.
Annie finishes up with the food when her eye is caught by a pair of burly workmen who strain to pull a large stump out of the ground. One works a lever beneath the thick roots while another pulls with a rope. It's hard work.
God damn this sumbitch. Come on, Hank.
As the two once again throw themselves into the task, Annie approaches, rolling up her sleeve.
All right, man the rope, go on.
Workman number 1, skeptical but obeying her tone, obliges. As Annie picks up the chainsaw, expertly hoists it in the air and fires her up. It roars to life. Billy watches in wide-eyed astonishment as Annie attacks the roots with a vengeance. Dean cringes in embarrassment under Billy's glare.
I don't ask her to do that stuff anymore. She just does it.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been keeping her out there?
Couple months, maybe 3, but
Don't you think you got your $600 worth of work out of that woman?
yeah, I guess so.
You guess so? You have gotten $6,000 of work. You've gotten your revenge.
Yeah,
So when are you going to tell that woman the truth?
I don't know. All right, it's sort of working out.
Working out?
Oh yeah, she seems to like it. All right.
Dean, the woman's married. She's got people.
I don't see him sending out the National Guard.
Well, then what happens when she finally figures it out? You don't think she won't?
She might not.
Come on. Look at this stuff. Cheese with crust and sandwiches without them.
This hits home for Dean. As Annie and the workmen succeed in turning the stump, she smiles proudly, dusting herself off as she returns to the picnic table. She begins to massage Dean's shoulders. Dean winces uncomfortably.
You don't have to do that right now, babe.
Aw, but I always do that while you eat.
Not now, hon.
Well, I'll just get home and then I'll finish up your shirts.
With a cheerful wave, she starts for the station wagon, disappears beneath the dash to hotwire the ignition. The engine rumbles. Billy gives Dean an accusatory stare. Dean sighs, hardly able to look his friend in the eye.
All right, I'll tell her
When?
tonight.
Interior kitchen night. Dean comes in the kitchen door and hits squarely between the eyes with A pastoral scene of familial bliss. Curtains we've never seen before lend a cozy touch to the room. A wonderful looking dinner is cooking on the stove. With total concentration, Travis and Greg are carefully positioning each knife, fork, and spoon at the table. The first constructive activity we've ever seen them undertake. Charlie's in the corner doing ballet warm ups. Annie sits in the kitchen table with Joe in her lap, reading from a comic book.
That's real good. Okay. Mr. Death is mad now. What does he say?
I will
Reduce.
reduce your puny planet to rubble.
Well, you're not going to let him destroy the earth, are you?
Joe shakes his head, then reaches into his pocket and hands her something.
What's this, a present?
Joe nods. It's one of those shitty macaroni necklaces kids make in arts and tech class. Annie puts it on.
I'm always going to wear this.
Joe coyly buries his face into her chest.
Annie,
The kids look up, a chorus of, "Hi, dads."
could I talk to you?
Can it wait till after dinner? Mr. Death's on a rampage.
Sure.
Interior upstairs hall. Dean walks down the hall, looks in. Interior bathroom night, where all four kids are standing in their pajamas in an orderly line, in order of height, holding their toothbrushes and taking turns at the sink. Interior hall, Dean sighs, turns and continues down the hall, knocking on the door of the master bedroom. It opens. Annie stands in the doorway in a shorty nightgown we haven't seen before. She is all legs and bedroom eyes. Clearly, she is ready to reaffirm their marriage.
So, what was it you wanted to talk to me about?
Dean gulps. Even a week ago, he wouldn't have taken a shameless advantage, but now he's too guilty.
Nothing. Good night.
He pumps her hand awkwardly and backs down the hall, leaving a confused Annie. Interior living room. Dean is miserably unrolling his sleeping bag on the couch. Annie comes down the stairs.
Okay, now come on, what's bothering you?
She plunks into a chair. Clearly, she's not getting anywhere until he comes out with it. In the flickering firelight, she looks very beautiful. Dean puts his head in his hands.
I've done a terrible thing.
Tell me.
There's something I have to tell you.
What?
I forgot your birthday.
My birthday? Really? When was it?
Today.
It's my birthday today?
Yeah.
He looks at her. Fuck it. He'll never tell her. Never. It's too late. He gets up, takes her hand, pulls her to her feet.
Get dressed.
What?
We're going out.
Dean, it's 10:15.
Get your ass dressed. It's my baby doll's birthday and I'm taking her out of town.
She smiles at him. Interior bar. The bar, cafe part of the bowling alley. Night. The smoky local hotspot is comfortably jammed with a Friday night crowd. The Naugahyde booths are crammed with gas station attendants and beauticians out for a good time. Elvis snarls jailhouse rock as couples shake it out on the small dance floor. Dean and Annie enter past an illuminated Rolling Rock sign. Annie is wide-eyed with wonder at her first glimpse in months of anything resembling nightlife, as Dean leads her into a small table near the back of the room.
It's not much.
Dean, it's so exciting.
Dean smiles, sincerely happy to see her so thrilled. He quickly scans a stained drink menu as he flags down a passing waitress.
Champagne, please.
Oh no, Dean, that's $7.
Dean reaches across the table to take her hand.
I got it covered.
Annie melts. as the song ends and the crowd offers a healthy round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Annie and Dean look to the stage as we see that we haven't been listening to Jukebox, but to an incredible simulation. Lonnie the King Goodthrow presents Elvis Memories. Lonnie, paunchy and pompadoured, slips off his leather jacket, hanging it carefully on a spotlight coat rack.
All right, this one goes out to all you lovely ladies.
He pulls an imitation Vegas period sequin and rhinestone white jacket from the rack. A few female devotees in the audience squeal as a scraggly backup band launches into One Night with You. Annie smiles delightfully as the waitress places a champagne bottle and 2 heavy glass beer mugs on the table.
Don't you have champagne glasses? Wow.
Not clean. Just watch where you aim that thing.
She leaves. Dean shrugs and smiles at Annie as he pops the cork, which ricochets loudly among the rafters. Annie laughs as the bottle spews foam and Dean fills the glasses, handing her one and raising the other to an intimate toast.
Here's to your birthday.
Thank you.
They clink glasses and sip. Annie looks toward the dancers on the floor.
Dean, do I dance?
Want to find out?
He stands, taking her hand cavalierly, leading her to a spot on the floor. Their eyes lock like 2 starry-eyed kids at their first dance as they awkwardly shift into a stiff semblance of dancing pose and start to sway tentatively to the music. Dean's not bad, and Annie grows more confident and relaxed as they continue. Dean's pleased to discover that she seems to have some faculty here. Taking a chance, he smiles and twirls her around. She spins and returns to his arms gracefully, surprising herself.
I'm pretty good, aren't I?
The greatest.
As they dance closer to the stage, eyes closed, as Elvis drops dramatically to one knee as he belts out on the bridge. Annie and Dean's eyes pop open, startled by the sudden volume, but they don't lose a step. She pulls closer to Dean.
Dean.
Yeah, hon?
How old am I?
He smiles warmly.
29.
She grins. This is bullshit. And he knows she knows this is bullshit. But hey, it's a sweet intention. She melts into his arms as they spin, losing themselves in the moment. Dissolve to interior of the house, bedroom, night. Their bodies continue to whirl as they drop into the bed, rolling into a passionate embrace as we fade to black. The next morning, Dean, Annie, and the dog are curled up in a heap in and on the bed. Dean has an idiot's grin. He's in love.
If I'd only known.
They laugh together.
Well, I didn't want to rush you into anything.
Oh, you did too. You did. And then just when I started to like you, you turned into the perfect gentleman. I've been trying to get you into bed for a month.
Really?
I thought you'd given up on me. I was sure you were having an affair.
Honey, I'm not really capable of adultery. I can promise you that.
You sure?
Look, Annie, it's the last thing I ever expected. But right since the day I first saw you, whether I liked it or not, I haven't been able to look at another woman. They're just not you.
She smiles, kisses him, then looks out the window at the morning light.
It's freezing. I better get some wood in the house.
She starts to get up. He catches her around the waist.
I'll go. Want to come?
I'll go with you.
They smile at each other. Exterior behind the house, morning. Dean and Annie are walking arm in arm towards a log pile as various early morning creatures scurry out of their.
Brr,
Are you chilly?
little bit.
Put your hand in my pocket.
She does. Then
What's this?
she pulls from his pocket the monogrammed underwear Dean stuck in his pocket that long ago day back at the police station. She does a slow burn. Interior of the kids' room, morning. They're all asleep. They're suddenly jolted awake by Annie's vociferous screaming.
And what the hell are these?
Annie,
Incapable of adultery.
I am.
Then who's JS?
No, see, JS is you. Your whole name is Joanna.
My last name is Prophet with a P.
But your maiden name?
Is Gulahi, as I recall. Nice try.
Interior kids' bedroom. The kids are up now and crowded to the window to get a look at what's going on. Exterior kids' point of view from above. As Dean reaches out to her, tries to calm her.
Don't touch me. That's it. You lied to me about the most sacred thing in our life. I want a divorce.
A divorce?
He almost laughs, alone aware of the impossibility of such a thing. Exterior back of house, ground level.
I'm glad you're amused. Yeah.
She starts for the house. He follows, beginning to panic.
No, Annie, we can't get a divorce.
I assure you, I can.
No, you really can't get a divorce.
Interior, a rickety lawyer's office day. From the certificates on the walls and the piped-in wedding music, we gather that the owner of this office is both an attorney and justice of the peace. Annie sits on the side of the table with her lawyer, who, unfortunately for Dean, is probably the most eligible bachelor in El Code. Dean is on the other side of the table, agitated, scared, and furious at the way this guy keeps solicitously patting Annie's hand. Dean can barely sit still in his seat.
I must advise you again, Mr. Prophet, that you're doing yourself a disservice not to be represented by an attorney.
An attorney? This is crazy. Annie, I don't want a divorce.
You might have thought of that before you impaled Miss JS and then lied.
JS is you.
He's still lying. Look at him.
Annie, I love you.
I can never trust you again. Can't you understand that?
No, I won't give you a divorce.
Mr. Prophet! This isn't 1910, despite my hair. Whether or not a person is willing to give his spouse a divorce can still be obtained. Now sit down before I recommend a restraining order.
Muttering to himself, Dean slumps back into his seat.
Now, I'd like to go over what we consider to be acceptable terms. $1,100 a month alimony plus child support in the amount of...
Child support?
Yes, naturally, I'm asking for full custody.
No way. No way are you taking my kids.
They're my kids, too.
No, they're not.
Annie's eyebrows shoot up. Dean sucks in his breath. The moment of truth is at hand.
Would you like to explain exactly what you mean by that, please?
You're not their mother.
What?
All right. You're not their mother, and you're not my wife.
Oh, then who am I?
Your name is Joanna. Oh, Jesus, what is your last name? Look, she had amnesia, so I just said she was my wife, so I could have someone to cook and clean up and take care of my kids, so she can't divorce me because she's not really who she thinks she is.
And how do you explain this? Wedding picture? Baby pictures?
Fakes. All fakes.
I don't even believe you would be low enough to do such a thing.
Oh, I am.
This is not my line.
Oh, this is... Sorry, I was so distracted by my popcorn and all of the telenovela realness. This is without a doubt the most shameless and degrading ploy to evade alimony and child support payments that I've heard in 20 years.
Reprehensible.
Absolutely.
You don't believe me? Okay, the kids are right outside. Why don't we just ask them, huh?
Interior corridor outside conference room. The kids leap away from the door where they have been eavesdropping as it bursts open and Dean, Annie, and the lawyer come striding out.
All right. Now I've just told them the truth about Annie not being your mother, and I want you to tell them too.
The kids look at him blankly.
Tell them.
Dad, tell them what?
Tell them she's not your mother.
Kids exchanged puzzled looks.
But she is our mother.
No. Forget what I said before and tell the man the truth. Tell him about the day I brought her home from the police station.
She went for a swim. We were really worried.
God damn it, you'd never seen her before in your lives.
He's been drinking.
Tequila.
Come on, Dad. Let's go lie down.
Excuse us a moment.
He ushers the kids over out of earshot.
What do you think you're doing?
Charlie stands protectively in front of her brothers, their spokesperson.
We're not going to let you ruin everything.
We're keeping her.
You can't keep her. She doesn't belong to you.
She didn't belong to you either, and that didn't stop you.
I had my reasons.
Well, so do we.
We like her.
Oh, you like her. You like her so much you'd live with her over your own father?
Dean looks angrily from kid to kid. They shrug.
She buys me mascara. Joe, it's your turn. You can say it now.
She cuts off the crusts.
What's up with my shit?
I'll kill you. I'll kill you all.
The wild man's roar, he lunges, batting at all his kids.
Oh no, where is it? Oh, there we go. Security! Security!
Exterior office building day. Dean is being dragged along by the armpits by the two guards. He's shrieking at Annie and the kids, who quietly walk past him to the street below, where Billy, just emerging from a hardware store, double takes as he takes in the crazy scene.
Will you just, what do you, look, I can prove who I am. I mean, who she is. Would you let me,
Dean sees Billy.
Billy, tell him about the pictures.
Billy looks around at the cops. This shit has definitely hit the fan in a big way. Is Dean trying to implicate him?
What pictures?
Tell them who she is.
What do you mean? That's your little wife, Annie.
You son of a bitch.
Dean breaks free from the guards and lunges for Billy's throat. The guards restrain him, and he watches helplessly as Annie in the wagon does a commendable 180 and peels out of the parking lot. A trucker leans against his rig, watching this with interest.
First woman I've seen who can really handle a stick.
Shut up.
Interior Billy's trailer day. Dean, seething with frustration, tosses a suitcase in a crumpled brown paper bag filled with his belongings beside Billy's couch.
I don't even know why I'm still talking to you.
Because you need a place to stay. I told you I wasn't going to get dragged into this.
Dean sighs.
She's got my house, my kids, my car, and all my money.
Look, why don't you just go find her husband?
Because her husband doesn't love her. So what do I do?
Well, divorced people get back together. It happens all the time.
Are you telling me I have to go through with this?
Interior Prophet living room day. Dean comes into the sight of the laughing kids, gleefully putting pinches of gunpowder into copper tubes, making fireworks. There's a sudden silence at the sight of Dean. Well, hi, Dad. Is it visiting day?
You know damn well it's visiting day. My hand's going to visit your ass if you don't cut this out.
Nice to see you, Father.
Stop it and get the fireworks out of the house.
I know what I'm doing.
Fireworks outside. Outside.
Travis scampers out, followed by the others. Dean watches, a tiny bit huffy at the instant obedience to Annie, rather than to him.
Fuck you, Travis. That is not right. I'm glad you're here. I've given a lot of this a lot of thought.
She hands him a slip of paper.
What's this?
It's a list of the things I think I should have and you should have. I've tried to be fair.
From outside, we hear a bang, 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 fireworks going off.
You keep those away from the house. Sorry, go on.
Now, I know this means a lot to you.
Dad.
Not now.
Dad!
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 Dude!
Dad!
Dude!
Unlike the kids' normal yelps, this is the quality of genuine alarm. Dean and Annie rush to the back door to find the washer shed is in flames. All 4 kids watch in horror. Greg is sobbing. Joe did it!
You lie!
Dean grabs them both by their collars, furious.
How many times have I told you?
He becomes aware that his sobbing Greg is tugging on his hand.
Save him! Save him!
What?
Lucky he's in there. Save him!
Dean looks at the burning shed. No way.
It's too far gone, pal.
Greg, he'll be okay. The reason turtles have that shell is to protect them.
Greg thinks it over.
Bullshit! Bullshit.
It's too dangerous, Gregoroo. I'm sorry.
Greg's tear-streaked face is heart-rendering, but Dean and Annie move away from the flames' heat. We hear Greg quietly sobbing behind them. Then, simultaneously, they look at each other and do a 180 as Annie grabs the hose and turns it on, covering Dean as he puts his jacket over his face and runs into the burning shed. Annie right behind him, spraying his way. The kids watch anxiously. Dean and Annie emerge, coughing but triumphant. Lucky in Dean's hand, or at least Lucky's shell. The arms, legs, and head of the turtle are nowhere to be seen.
He's dead.
Dean puts the shell on a stump. The family crowds around, watching with trepidation. A second passes. 2, 3, 5. And then Lucky's little head peeks out of the shell, followed by his arms and legs. The family goes bananas. Everyone jumps up and down, hugging and screaming, including Dean and Annie, who are soon hugging each other, and then kissing some more. The kids applaud. The dark spark wildly. Dean and Annie finally break apart, sheepishly.
Someone's here.
I'll go and see who it is.
She kisses Dean and walks around exterior front of the house, where she's confronted by the sight of Grant, standing on top of a rental car, cowering from the barking dog.
Mabel, down! They don't see a lot of strangers. Damn it, Travis.
Strangers. Joanna?
Joanna looks around, thinking he must be addressing someone else.
I'm your husband. I know you. Don't you remember your past?
How do you know that? Did you read about me in the papers?
No, we've been married 10 years.
Nice try. You are not even my type.
Joanna!
Look, you'll have to go or I'll have to call the dogs.
I brought proof. Look, your driver's license.
George, Mabel, stick 'em.
The dogs growl threateningly at Grant.
Here's your passport. Look at it.
Don't come any closer. Dean!
Your platinum card, please.
Dean and the kids come around the house as Annie flicks a cursory glance at close up on the credit card in Grant's hand. Annie, extreme close up, as her pupils dilate. Dean and the kids stop in their tracks, frozen in horror.
My credit card. That's my credit card.
She moves toward Grant, mesmerized.
Oh, you remember your credit card? Yes, yes.
Dean watches with fascination and horror.
Card.
Of course it is, Joanna.
Yes, I'm Joanna.
And I'm
William Grant Staten.
the third.
Oh my God, I remember. God, the whole thing. Dean,
It hits her, the magnitude, the sheer audacity of Dean's scam. She does a slow burn at Dean and the kids, who writhe in guilty misery.
Now be fair, baby. I did tell you.
Be fair. Be fair. How fair is that what you did to me? All of you.
I wanted to tell you, but he wouldn't let me.
You must think this is all very funny. Revenge on the rich lady. Take me home.
Annie.
That's not my name. Oh God, take me home now. I'll get my things. Here, my things. Take me home.
Annie.
She leaps into the car. Grant needs no second prompting. He jumps behind the wheel and the car starts off. Dean and the kids find their tongues and begin chasing after the car, yelling after her to come back. Interior car, Annie's face, eyes squeezed shut so as not to see the imploring faces of Dean and the kids, who are rapping on the windows. Even the dogs are looping alongside the car, barking forlornly. Finally, the car overtakes them, leaving them all behind. Interior plane, day. Annie, who will now be called Joanna, still in rural clothes, sits beside Grant in first class as he polishes off the last of a dozen oysters. She takes a good look at him, taking him in. It's taking a while to adjust to him.
My God, what have I been through? When I realized you'd actually gone over the side, overboard. Well, I just went to pieces. I crumbled. I pretty much cheated on you. Is this fork clean? Does that look like a water spot or?
Joanna looks, shrugs.
The Coast Guard, everyone was sure you drowned. Miss, another fork, but another fork, please. I kept at it for 3 months. I cobbed that coastline. Then when I got back to the peasant little town, I don't know how to explain it. I just got a tinkle in my tingle.
You combed that coastline and went to the pissant little town? My poor mother, she must have been wild.
Well, no, I did something unforgivable, Joanna. I lied to your mother. Every time she called, I pretended we were still on our cruise having a glorious time. I just want to spare her the anguish until I knew.
You did the right thing. I think we can spare my mother the revolting truth.
Awful man, I still think we should press charges.
No, I won't have half of New York dining out on this story. We're just going to erase it from my life. I insist that we do that.
Joanna has drawn herself up to her full former imperiousness.
Hey, it never happened.
Exterior, the plane descends toward the Manhattan skyline. Exterior, Grant and Joanna's apartment building, day, establish. One of the New York's good buildings. A distinctive Rolls pulls up to the curb. The doorman scurries to the cab and opens the door for Joanna. Interior foyer of Grant and Joanna's apartment. Huge, elegant, and cheerless. The door is opened by Andrew, revealing Edith, who embraces her daughter with air kisses.
Oh, my darling, I couldn't wait for you to come see me. I had to be here. What is this? Lumberjack chic? Ooh, it doesn't work at all.
Joanna looks down at her clothing, the flannel shirt, the jeans, the sneakers, and the macaroni necklace.
Nothing, Mother. Our luggage was stolen in Nassau.
Grant takes advantage of the two women's preoccupation with one another to draw Andrew aside.
All right. Now, as far as Miss Stain is concerned, I've spent the last 3 months scouring the coast of Oregon. Is that clear?
Not especially.
If you don't back me up, you'll be out on your ass with no severance, no references, and I'll make damn sure everyone in this town knows you're not really English.
Andrew is seriously taken aback, as in the BG. We hear Edith in the background, continue to revile Joanna's appearance.
And what has happened to your hair? It's your natural color. Oh, you cannot be seen. Andrew, call Elizabeth Arden and tell Maurice we will have to make a house call. Oh, he will.
Of course.
Andrew jumps to obey. Interior living room a little while later. Joanna floats euphorically across the pristine room, caressing antiques and art objects as she goes.
Oh, it's so good to be back. Oh, and here's my more. I stole this for 1.7.
Dear, are you feeling all right?
Perfect.
Well, you don't normally make love to the furniture.
This is Staten. Maurice is here.
Ew.
Appearing, and that's the only word for it, in the doorway is Maurice, the vision of effeminate in tight pants, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat.
Effeminacy, darling.
And cowboy hat and carrying a blow dryer. He takes one look at Joanna and screams. Interior of Joanna's bathroom day. We only see Joanna from the rear as Maurice finishes combing her out, chattering away.
Oh, this is perfect. I'm so sorry. I got distracted. I was just looking at myself in the mirror. Give me just one more moment. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Swishy the camera. There we go. Ah, perfect. What was done to you? You are maybe in prison? Hmm?
Yes, in prison on a tiny island with no salon.
Why? Your husband is such a brute to take you to such a place. Oh, there.
He spins her around. She is now expertly made up and coiffed. Gone is the soft look she acquired during her time in the country. Her hair is lacquered, more severe. She is, in short, her old self. Grant appears behind her, puts his hands on her shoulders.
Well, everything's back to normal now.
God, you're so creepy.
He takes her hand and slips her gaudy diamond wedding ring back on her finger. She smiles. Interior and elegant Neiman Marcus type store day. Joanna, returning to the world of shopping with a vengeance, fervently plucks outfit after outfit off the racks. Milling around her, also fingering clothes, are other women who have never done anything in their lives but shop. Exterior, a racquetball court. Joanna is whacking the ball back and forth with another rich woman. Interior salon. Joanna is having her toenails done. Interior, another clothing store. Joanna pulls more clothes off racks with a little less enthusiasm. Interior, psychiatrist's office. Joanna lies on the couch talking. Her shrink, the ubiquitous bearded Jewish guy in his late 50s, does needlepoint. Interior, another clothing store, main entrance. Joanna walks in, sighs, stops, turns, and walks out. Interior art opening day. Joanna, dressed to the nines, is jammed between various rich people, stifling a yawn as they talk to her. Talk. Her attention begins to wander, then is riveted on a painting of a giant impressionistic turtle. Joanna stares at it, slowly growing emotionally upset. She backs away from the painting, turns, and bolts into the ladies' lounge, where Joanna sinks into a chair, puts her hand into her temple. Standing behind her is a cluster of laughing rich women. Joanna, come look at Margot's tits.
What? Travis?
Yes, well, Margot has to say, I just had them done. He did a fabulous job. You have to take a look at this.
I think I'll pass.
She backs out. Interior art opening. Joanna stands at the ladies' room doorway, taking in the scene of which she no longer feels a part. Exterior miniature golf day. Another party is in progress, albeit a more modest one. A banner reads Elk Cove Miniature Golf Course, the wonders of the world, grand opening. People are milling about, helping themselves to Coke and pretzels, and of course, playing golf. We now pan past some of the completed golf holes. They're actually pretty ingenious. There's Mount Rushmore, there's the Eiffel Tower, of course, and there's Billy and Dean taking in the specter of the success with not a little amazement.
439 people. 439 individuals all putting their brains out.
Yeah, she never even got to see it finished.
Look, you got to get your mind off Annie. Mike Smallwood wants us to do another course up in Jackson. We got to work up a whole new batch of wonders.
How?
What do you mean, how?
How are we going to come up with more wonders? Annie designed all the good ones. She came up with the Tower of Pisa, the Loch Ness Monster.
We came up with the monster.
The way it pops up and eats the ball, that was hers.
Billy takes this in, agrees.
Yeah, You know, she'll live on a lot of people, or she'll live on for a lot of people in that monster.
Not for me.
He turns and walks off the course. Interior Dean's living room day. The room hasn't changed since Joanna left. It's still neat, tidy, cozy. The twins are sprawled out on the floor doing their homework. Charlie has the cats up on the mantle and is vacuuming. Mrs. Burbage, the social worker, stands in the front room, shaking Dean's hand as she's leaving.
Well, Mr. Prophet, I don't know what you've done, but keep on doing it.
Thanks, Mrs. Burbage.
She goes. Dean sighs. He looks at the kids. They're all well-mannered, God knows, but all of the animation has gone out of them.
So who wants to play some Pictionary?
Nobody's enthusiastic. Excuses, shrugs, sighs.
Well, how about a move?
No takers. Chorus of polite, no thank yous. The kids are pointedly not meeting his eyes.
Now look, I am not going to call her. She hates me. She's gone. She's out of here. She's got a rich husband and a rich life, and that's the end of it.
Interior Joanna and Grant's bedroom, night. Joanna lies wide awake in the massive bed she shares with Grant. She gets up, throws on a robe. Interior kitchen. Andrew and a maid, a matronly woman, are watching a return of I Dream of Jeannie. They leap to their feet as Joanna enters, taken aback by her unexpected presence. It's clear she's never set foot in the kitchen before.
Listen, I won't bother you. I was just looking for a beer. No. I'll get it myself.
As they stare at her, Joanna opens the refrigerator, finds a beer. She absentmindedly puts the bottle against the counter and bam, hits it with her fist. The cap flies off. She takes a long guzzle. Then she notices Andrew and the cook staring at her.
Ugh. I don't think beer is going to do it. Do we have any tequila?
Andrew nods. She gets down on her knees and awkwardly rummages through the liquor cabinet among dozens of bottles.
4 brands. What's the best? What say you, Andrew?
Well, tomorrow or Wednesday, the Statons are leaving Thursday. 6 months.
I was asking you the best brand of tequila on page 109.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yes, you did, Andrew, darling. Please catch up.
I believe the Hortinos, madam, goes down quite smooth.
Is this the voice of experience, Andrew?
Mm-hmm.
He raises an eyebrow. She smiles at him. Interior hall. The faint sound of 40s swing music wafts through the carnivorous dark halls as Grant, in pajamas, comes padding toward the kitchen.
Joanna, I just met someone named Joanna.
Shut the fuck up.
No answer. We track him down the lengthy hall and to the kitchen door from which the music emanates. He opens the door. His point of view. On the counter, in the foreground, in some disarray, is an empty bottle of tequila, some half limes, salt, and 3 shot glasses. In the center of the kitchen, the cook shimmies to the sidelines as Andrew and Joanna are cutting loose with a wild jitterbug at which, given their looped condition, are surprisingly adept. They stopped abruptly as they... Grant in the doorway, eyes glazed with disbelief. Interior Staten bedroom, day. Joanna is energetically vacuuming the white carpet. Edith and Grant regard her quizzically.
What's that, Mummy?
I was muted. I'm so sorry. But we're worried about you. What is this?
Oh, why? I'm just neatening up.
Have you been keeping your appointments with Dr. Rosenberg?
Oh, yes, and it was very productive. He finished the whole tapestry by now. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Shakes her head, unable to talk about it.
Jojo.
Ugh. Please don't call me that. I feel like a Pomeranian.
Darling, for the past 2 weeks, you haven't been your old self. I mean, you drank the Hornitos, for God's sakes. Apparently, Patron is someone's favorite, because they're trash.
I haven't. Well, that's one good thing.
And this chumming it up with the servants. Ugh, very bad form. Stop that.
Joanna is now emptying ashtrays.
I just want to do something. Have you ever wanted to do something?
Of course. All you have to do is snap your fingers. Hold on. I've been practicing. Got a baby sound there. One more time. Hold on. No, fuck it. Anyway, I tried. You can be on any committee.
I don't want to be on committees. I don't want committees. I want kids.
Ugh. A baby? I just bought you 6 house stones. They won't fit if you're pregnant.
The Statons need
They're
a
Halstons.
the
Halstons.
Halstons. Yeah, we need a male hair.
Hair?
Air. Air.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Andrew.
wrong.
Air.
You're not from
I don't
England.
care. I do, but I don't care about the Halstons, one of the greatest designers of, its time.
Ever.
Or the Statons. I want a family. I want to get out of here.
But you just got back.
Grant and Edith look at each other in alarm as Joanna begins emptying wastebaskets into a plastic trash sack.
In the plastic bag. Travis, could you at least get on camera and act like you give a shit?
Hey, whoa. Then we'll go away. We'll have a second honeymoon, a long, long one. And we'll start our own little family. How does that sound?
Interior Staten master bedroom day. Joanna is listlessly packing a suitcase. She opens her lingerie drawer. It's full of underwear monogrammed JS. She stops. With a shock of recognition, picks up a pair, looks at it for a mournful moment.
He didn't cheat.
The phone rings. She almost answers it, thinks the better of it, returns, heavy-hearted, to her packing. Interior kitchen. Andrew has picked up the phone.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Staten has left strict instructions not to be disturbed. But if you'll give me your name...
Interior Prophet living room day. Dean is on the phone with all the kids crowded around.
No, I'll call back. When would be a good time?
Interior Staten kitchen.
Well, tomorrow or Wednesday. The Statens are leaving Thursday. 6 months.
Interior Prophet living room.
What?
He slams down the phone. The kids stare at him.
God damn it. God damn it. Look, there's no way. There's no way, okay? She's going to go off with him. It's a 6-month cruise. She's leaving in 3 days.
The kids look crushed.
There's no way. So stop him.
We're not doing anything.
Then go do something. Get out of here. Go on.
The kids stay right where they are. Dean heaves a huge sigh and stares out of the room, stops, wheels around, and looks at them.
Everybody pee and get your coats.
The kids scramble to obey him. Exterior Prophet house, day, music up under. Dean revs the engine behind the wheel in the truck, and the kids barely have time to jump in the open cab doors as the truck peels out of the driveway. Flip frame 2, interior truck cab moving, day. Dean, with a couple of days beard growth, is driving with a fanatical determination. The cab is filled with empty takeout containers. The kids are singing.
4,000 bottles of beer on the wall. 4,000 bottles of beer.
They pass a sign, "Welcome to Kansas." Flip frame 2, interior Staten kitchen. The cook puts the final touches on a huge boat-shaped cake reading, "Bon voyage, Joanna and Grant." Small figures representing Grant and Joanna stand on the deck of the boat. The cook delicately places a tiny captain's hat on Grant. Interior Joanna and Grant's living room, night. A giant Bon Voyage party is in full swing. A nautically attired orchestra plays. Hired servants scurry back and forth carrying platters of food. Rich people are clustered in conversation. Grant holds court, very much in his element. Interior, the upstairs hall, Edith, formerly dressed, raps on the door of Joanna's bed.
What are you doing?
Interior, Joanna's bedroom. Joanna, wearing a stunning black dress that either Hepburn might covet, is sitting listlessly on the bed.
The Hardwicks are asking for you.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Okay. Quickly, she gets up, gives her reflection a final check, and rummages in her jewel box and pulls out a lovely diamond necklace. Joanna is about to fasten it around her neck, then her eye is caught by Joe's macaroni necklace, hanging on a doorknob. Joanna impulsively tosses the diamond necklace back on her dresser, grabs the macaroni on, and defiantly throws it over her head as she runs out the door. Interior Staten living room, the party. Joanna, pasting a smile on her face, descends the stairs and begins to greet her guests. Exterior front of Joanna's building, night. A familiar battered truck wagon pulls into the adjoining garage, zipping right up past the uniformed attendant, who yells and shakes his fist. Interior garage. Dean and all 4 kids, looking pretty grubby after 3 days on the road, climb out of the truck.
Yes, God damn it, we are there. All right, now everybody, shut up.
This is where she lives?
Right. She lives in a garage?
Come on.
He herds the kids toward the door in the lobby as the garage attendant eyes them suspiciously as they go. Interior Staten living room. The party is in full swing. Joanna is doing her best to mingle, but she's looking more and more unhappy. She approaches the bar where Andrew is pouring champagne. He takes one look at her brittle smile, eschews a champagne glass, and pours her a triple right into a tumbler. She smiles in gratitude and accepts it. She sighs sympathetically and at the obvious misery on her face, then casts a glance at Grant, who is standing in a laughing crowd of men, making a lewd gesture of big breasts, obviously bragging about his vacation. Andrew's eyes narrow. He makes a decision.
Mrs. Staten, there's something I feel you have a right to know.
Interior, the building lobby. Dean and the kids are not making a favorable impression on the doorman and the armed security guard.
Oh, and I stole my flower. Perfect. Is she expecting you?
I'm the last thing she's expecting. If you just call her.
Interior Staten living room. Grant excuses himself from his friends to pick up the ringing phone.
Yes? What? No. Under no circumstances is he to be let in. Hold on.
He puts his hand over the phone and sees Joanna approaching him, followed by Andrew. She is smoldering, smoking with rage.
What is it, Sweetums?
You spent 3 months searching for me?
Yeah.
He stammers. She puts her hands on his chest and pushes him backwards so hard he sits on a buffet table, squishing the prow of the cake ship under his ass. Joanna runs up the stairs, Edith following. He stares after them.
Premenstrual insanity here?
He hands the phone to Andrew and follows his wife.
Hello, this is Andrew. Who? Yes. Mr. Staten begs your pardon. There's been a ghastly mistake. The gentleman you're detaining is one of our guests. Send him up.
Andrew replaces the receiver, humming to himself. Interior, upstairs hall. Grant pounds on the bedroom door.
Joanna, what is it?
You cheated!
Oh, for God's sake, grow up, Joanna. Everybody cheats.
Interior, master bedroom. Joanna is pacing, wrecked with pain. Edith can't calm her.
You hear that? That's what I've been married to!
Ugh, don't shriek at me and cover your mouth. Oh, you
Why
did.
not? You're the one who wanted me to marry him.
You acted of your own free will. Oh, just let it out, you drama queen.
But you kept telling me that it was a good match. It was. You kept saying I'd get my name in the papers and I'd be invited everywhere. And you kept filling my head with that crap, Mother. He doesn't love me.
You don't know that.
I know. I know the difference because
She breaks off. Her mother looks at her shrewdly.
Because you met someone. Ooh.
I was with someone. We were really together. Do you know what that's like?
Edith reflects for a moment, sits on the bed.
Yes. Oh, she has a whole thing. Hold on, all right, okay. I know what that's like. I feel like I should have a cigarette in this moment. You don't remember your father, but he was quite... Even in the 2 rooms in Brooklyn, he was, quite... that he happened to have a talent for money. That was a surprise, but even after the money, we weren't ever really accepted by any of these people. That takes a name. And the idea of my little girl, Edie Jakowski's little girl, married to a Staten. I thought it would make you happy. I didn't know it would make you tired because I'm happy. I'm happy we're Statens. I'm happy when I have servants, or I'm happy when I'm invited to Monaco or Buckingham Palace. That impresses the hell out of this little babe from Brooklyn. But if he hasn't made you happy, then that's my fault. And I'm so sorry, baby.
Joanna, in tears, embraces her mother.
Oh, don't forget this cut. Starbucks, stop getting in the way of your mom and her fake mom having a whole reuniting thing. So who is this other guy?
He's gone. I've been trying to call him for 3 days, and they've moved. They've gone away. I don't know.
It's okay,
Cries on
baby.
her mother's shoulder. Interior Staten foyer. The elevator doors open. Dean and the kids pile out.
Okay, just stay here. I'm gonna slip in there and blend right in. Nobody even know I'm there.
He rushes through the double doors to interior Staten living room. There is a sudden silence as Dean's point of view, 200 of New York's most luminous socialites stare in the stony silence at this low-life guy. Dean has been on the road for 3 days straight and has the beard growth and smell to prove it. He shrinks under their disdain, but screws up his courage, chokes at his question.
Where's Annie?
In a buzz of confusion, revulsion, who is this person? And who's Annie?
I mean, Joanna. Where's Joanna?
The upstairs landing. Drawn by the uproar, Grant appears, looks over the railing, stiffens in panic.
Security! Ooh.
He bounds downstairs, gesturing up to 2 plainclothes security men who glide through the crowd, grabbing Dean by the armpits.
Will you just look? Look.
They start to drag him off. Dean breaks one arm free and takes a swing, connecting with the other one of them. The other continues to draw them off.
Annie! Annie!
Interior master bedroom. Joanna, lying dejected on the bed, hears faintly.
Annie!
She sits bolt upright, quivering.
Annie! Annie!
Dean! Arturo! With no context.
Interior living room. Her scream pierces the downstairs noise. People look up at the upstairs landing as Joanna bursts from the bedroom, wild-eyed.
Dean?
She scans the crowd, sees Dean, who sees her too, and wrestles free of the guards, plowing his way through the crowd, which parts like the Red Sea, as Joanna bounds down the stairs 3 at a time, and from the last stair takes a flying leap at Dean, who catches her before she even hits the ground. She clamps onto him, her legs around him, kissing him, beard growth, sweat, and all.
Take me home.
The party stares in amazement, in utter silence. Then we hear the sound of one person clapping. We pan to the gentleman we recognize as Joanna's psychiatrist. Very pleased with his patient's breakthrough, Edith stares at him.
Joanna.
Dean is carrying her out. Grant pushes through the crowd after them. Edith grabs his arm.
Let her go.
What?
Let her go.
The hell I will.
He jerks his arm free, motions to the guards who follow Joanna, now standing, who looks back, sees him advancing. She gives the Moore sculpture a tremendous push, top heavy. It falls right onto the three men, giving Joanna, Dean, and the kids time to disappear into the elevator. Interior lobby. Dean, Joanna, and the kids bolt past the doorman through the side door into interior the garage. Just in time to see Dean's truck hooked on the back of a tow truck, disappearing out of the garage.
Never mind. Come on.
They run to the end of the garage where Joanna's gleaming Rolls is waiting. She tries the door. It's locked. She pounds on the window, then, looking at her hand, turns it sideways and scratches a large X on the window with the diamond of her gaudy wedding ring. She takes off a high heel and smashes the glass, opening the door so the kids can pile in. Dean is still standing there.
Get in.
It's a Rolls Royce.
So, get in.
She reaches in the car, begins fiddling with the wires under the dash.
Look, have you thought about this?
Yes, get in.
You're not going to have this kind of car or that kind of dress. I'll work and I'll take care of you, but it'll be back to tacos and beers.
No, it won't. Get in.
Annie, it will.
It won't. It's mine. The money's mine. Get in.
What? Money? How much money?
He puts his head under the dash with her, hears the answer, and pulls back and gasping
Jesus
amazement.
H. Christ.
Why do you think he married me? Now, get into this goddamn car right now.
Dean gulps, obeys, as Grant and the security guards rush into the garage, spot them 30 yards away.
Damn it, Travis.
Sorry, I was caught off guard by they were in the water. They've got the rolls!
No, they don't.
Grant looks at him. The garage attendant holds up the keys, smiling. Grant smiles back as the roll starts up with a roar. The headlights come on. Grant, the garage attendant, and security guards double take, then dive out of the way as the rolls comes barreling straight towards them. Exterior Staten Building, day. And out of the garage. Exterior turnpike, moving on the rolls, day. On its way out of town. As we pull up, way up, we see the Statue of Liberty, and we dissolve to exterior Elk Cove miniature golf course, magic hour. And we see the more modest Statue of Liberty that crowns the 18th hole, wider angle. As the rolls glides to a stop next to the deserted golf course, Dean gets out and makes a deferent arc around the front of the car and opens the door for Annie, as we will call her again, who is fast asleep, still in her black dress, hair a mess from the 3 days on the road. The kids, also sleeping, stir in the back seat as Dean gently nudges Annie to consciousness, helping her out of the car, leaning her to the middle of the course. Dean flicks a switch and the shadowy grounds are suddenly illuminated by floodlights. Annie looks around in wonder at what she has helped create. She turns back to Dean, flings her arms around him, and they begin to dance, swaying to the imaginary music. And the kids pile into frame, hanging onto them, dancing with them. And we pull back and back, leaving the family and Lady Liberty to their celebration. Fade out. The end.
Well, that was an interesting last third of that movie that was not even in the movie. Thank you for watching. I like doing these original scripts because sometimes you're like, what the hell is this? It's fun. It's interesting. I hope you enjoyed our read and thanks for watching. Have a great night. Stop.